Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion, who does online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube and TikTok since 2018. In Finland, and 13 years, QBE, in Classical Arabic and MSA in Quranic Arabic. The author of the Refer to the Quran, which helps every novice to understand the steps towards understanding the Great Quran and the guidance of God in it. Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion, who does online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube and TikTok since 2018. In Finland, and 13 years, QBE, in Classical Arabic and MSA in Quranic Arabic. The author of the Refer to the Quran, which helps every novice to understand the steps towards understanding the Great Quran and the guidance of God in it.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge with Allah against the accursed devil. Yeah, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for anticipating. You're welcome to Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer's page. And you can see the title is the Strawman Fallacy, right? Which is the Strawman Fallacy. And I put the QIBLA or KAABA. It's a long time coming. This is a topic that I've done before, but it's a very long time. However, now I'm more in a position where I can actually present the arguments clearly enough so that people can actually understand how the Quran explains itself. But the mushriks don't agree. The mushriks will give credence to their own books. You understand? So this is Baba Shuaib. هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين. This is my way. I invite to Allah by perception, I and whoever follows me, and glory be to Allah, for I am not among the mushriks, right? So let me give some shout outs. Thank you for those on TikTok sending me the gift. I'm streaming live via Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. This time I'm not on Instagram because I think the last time I did it somehow affected my internet because I was streaming from 4 different locations. So it somehow affected the stream. And today's topic is very delicate. I don't have to give it a chance whereby that thing can happen. So I have to excuse Instagram for now, right? So thank you. I appreciate. Let me give some shout outs to all those who are available. We have mom, yeah, salam to you. Thank you for the good luck. Abdullah Abbas, thank you. Salam, I see you. Mr. X, Musa Arabogo, Murtaza Rahmatullah, salam to you. Momade Pedro, Innocent Big Waterfall, Rishi Green, SDJB. We have 2G's World. Hey, 2G's, I see you. Salam. And we have Diesel. We have Anur Dawa. Yes, brother, I see you. Mubarak Abdullah, Don Nuru, I see you. Don Nuru, this stars, will you kill me? Alam Shah, yes, brother Alam Shah, I see you. Salam to you. Hey, Salis Jimmy, I see you. Salis Jimmy, yeah, I see you, bro. Yeah, thank you, Don Nuru. Salam, Abdul Samad. We have All Stars. We have Rishi Nara Power, I see you. Salam. Tajuddin Ramli, salam to you. Ali Au, Sister Zainab Kaisar, May Shadow, MW Content, Sanusi, Kaneli, Kanele, Nazcan, Sister Nazcan, I see you. Salam. Almoin, SB Bello, Rashitek Africa, Nazira Nesi, New Path, No Return. Wow, Kwa Eje, John Moon, bin Baz, Barsalim bin Sali. Yeah, thank you very much. Abubakar Abdul Jalil Janjani, Ahmed Tijani Wazi Musa. Wow, the list is getting bigger. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your presence. Relum, Osmanaj, Mandated Maro, Salman Wahid, Raf. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. God bless you all. So this is for those on Facebook and YouTube, right? And then we come to TikTok. I see Sister Alma Johnson. I see you. God bless you. Thank you for the gift. And I see Mervan. Salam to you. I see Omoba. I see Senu Abdul Hakim. I see you, Enes, brother Enes. I see you. Yes, let me see. I see Baba Sedu. I see you. Baba Sedu Raganka. Yes. Salam to you, Baba Sedu. For those on TikTok, all those who are joining, I appreciate your presence. I know a lot of people will join later on. God bless you. So I can see now there's a lot of people actually anticipating. Yes, Hamidu Sadu. Yes, thank you all for coming, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate. Salam means peace. Salam is just offering peace, just like in the Bible you say shalom. Shalom. So peace is just a greeting, right? Assalamu alaikum. It's actually encouraged by chapter 4, verse 86, and also chapter 6, verse 54. Like we say, peace be to you when you come, so far as you are a believer in the words of God. Sister Benish, I see you. Salam to you. Idris Suman. Wow. The salam alone is taking about 10 minutes. Today has been bigger like than usual. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for anticipating. It's going to be interesting, inshallah. Okay. So let's move ahead to the main focus, right? For today's program is the straw man fallacy. And we have the QIBLA and the KAABA, right? Salam Sheikh, Tawfiq, Mishi, Sniper, thank you. So many a times you see Baba Shrike making shorts, or we call it the shorts or the reels. I put them out. People think I'm just only creating controversy. I'm creating a topic of discussion. I want people to study, to learn, right? And the most important aspect is you have to reflect on how you've been manipulated or how words are being played with other than what it actually means, right? So when Baba Tribe throws an argument, I'm throwing an argument to people who claim they are learned or scholars, especially to the mushriks. That's why you see me making videos and throwing it out there, the short ones, right? So I'm going to go through the Quran to show you. There's a guy who did a video. I did a video about the Kaaba, and I said nowhere in the Quran does it say you should pray facing the Kaaba. And then somebody did a straw man argument with my video. And what baffles me is a lot of people sharing. I thought they were sound in the head, but I found out they were not actually sound in the head because the guy just did a straw man fallacy. You understand? And Baba Shuaib keep throwing the challenge there. If you are learned, and what I'm saying is wrong, you should have given me a call. It's easy as then we sit down face to face and then we see who is lying. Do you get my point? So first of all, if you go to Quran chapter 10 verse 32, God says, "Famaza ba'da al-haqq illa dalal." What is there after the truth except error? If not error, what is there? What do you have after the truth? Quran chapter 10 verse 32. "Famaza ba'da al-haqq illa dalal." What again do you have? So many a times when people want to play games with you, they mix the truth with falsehood. They have to take the truth and mix it with falsehood in order to get your attention. This is what people do, right? So you have to be able to learn how to decipher or to dissect between the lies and the truth. You should have that capacity, and that is why Baba Shuaib is causing a stir all around. You understand? And people are talking, and people want to learn, people want to study, but then other people have taken it as a game of fanaticism and not actually opening their brains to study. They are actually just, oh, somebody is like rebuting Baba has done a rebuttal against Baba Shuaib because they hate me personally. You understand? People will rather hate you for telling the truth rather than hating the people who actually lie to them. They will not do that. They will rather hate you for waking them up. Baba Shuaib, I have a thick skin. I'm prepared for that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is to show you how these people, what they do is they've created their own meanings of words by using the hadith books against the Quran. And when I say they, I mean the mushriks, you know them, the sectarians. You classify them Sunnis, Shias, all of them. This is what they did. They created their own meanings to words of the Quran or in Islam other than what the Quran actually means and intends. Do you see what they did? So what they did is they play with words. They did the same. Today I'm going to base it on the QIBLA, but they did the same with hadith. The word hadith, when you mention it to any Sunni, Shia, Tijaniya, Qadiriya, Ahmadiyya, Salafiyya, Wahhabiyya, you guys mention the word hadith, automatically they attribute it to their garbage books. They never attribute hadith to the Quran. Most of them don't know Quran is the hadith. Allahu nazzal al-ahsan al-hadith. Quran chapter 39 verse 23. Quran is actually the best hadith. But mushriks don't know that. So when you tell mushriks Quran is the hadith, they are like, he doesn't know hadith. You understand? So God says, فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثِ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. And he again, that is Quran chapter 45 verse 6. Quran chapter 52 verse 34. فَلِيَاتُوا بِبَحَدِيثٍ مِثْلِهِ إِن كَانُوا صَادِقِينَ. So let them bring an hadith or a hadith like it, like the Quran, if they should be truthful. But they are not truthful. So what they do is they give you Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Jamia Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, and then they keep going with their jokes and comedy. Do you get the point? So they played with words like hadith. So sectarians have a different meaning for the word hadith. They play with words, a word such as sunnah. Quran mentions sunnah in Quran chapter 33 verse 38. They have created their own sunnah to attribute it to something else. Quran mentions hijab. They will tell you hijab means to a woman's scarf, to wear the scarf on the head and then to cover herself. They will attribute hijab for that. When the Quran says hikmah, chapter 17 verse 39, ذَلِكَ مِمَّا أَوْهَا إِلَيْكَ رَبُّكَ مِنَ الْحِكْمَةِ. Hikmah is in the Quran. The mushriks will tell you hikmah. Hikmah means the sunnah. This is what they do. The word Rasul, if God says Atiwullah wa Atiwur Rasula, this is what they will tell you. They say, oh, obey God and obey the Prophet. You see their foolishness. So they always twist the words of God out of its places. وَيُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلَمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ. Exactly what the Jews did. The so-called Muslims who are the sectarians today are doing the same thing. Hey, salam, Liman Imrana. Hey, Ismail Laganka, salam. So Baba Shuaib is only helping people to know the liars among you who twist and interpolate words where they don't belong. And I'm going to set this guy up. He's called the Prince Mushrik. I'm going to set him up and send it back to his scholars as a scapegoat. So this is the slaughterhouse. You know, I'm used to doing the den, but this is the slaughterhouse. So I'm going to actually use him as a scapegoat and send him back to the scholars again and to expose their foolishness. So now they did it to the word QIBLA. So they will keep telling you it means the direction of prayer. That is according to the hadith, not according to the Quran. Listen carefully. They will tell you QIBLA means direction of prayer. I repeat, that is according to the hadith, and that is not according to the Quran. Remember, I told you, they did the same with the word hadith. They have a different definition for hadith. They did the same for the word sunnah. They have a different definition for sunnah. They did the same with the word hijab. They have a different definition for hijab. They did the same for the word hikmah. They have a different definition for the word hikmah according to their hadith. They did the same with the word rasul. They have a different definition for rasul again. And now they did the same with the word QIBLA. They have a different definition for the word QIBLA. So Baba Shuaib is going to help you out to see the loopholes in their logic. Quran chapter 10 verse 82. God says, وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. And God will enforce the truth with his words, even if the criminals dislike it. Who are the criminals? You know them. So if God says hadith, they will create their own. They are trying to twist the words of God with their own garbages. And God is going to enforce the truth with his words, whether you like it or not. That is why Baba Shuaib is all out against you. You are mushriks. Yes, it's simple. You leave the words of God, God explaining his book, and you tell me garbage books will explain the book of my God. Are you okay? Comedy, everything okay in the head? Okay. So Quran chapter 10 verse 82, you can check it up for yourself. God is the one to enforce the truth with his words. Even if the criminals, you know them, the mushriks, the Sunnis, the Shias, Ahmadiyas, and so on, they are the criminals. Yes, yeah. Even if the criminals dislike it. Do you get the point? Aha. So now, I'm going to play a short video of mine before I go to the guy's video, the Prince Mushrik. Before I play Prince Mushrik's video, I'm going to go a short video of mine so that I take you back in time to understand why Baba Shuaib is putting shots out there. I always have a justification and reasons for the things I do. If you don't understand me, sorry. Now, so let me show you some of the things and why I do the things I do. Now, let me play one video of mine so that I move on to the main topic, right? So this is the video. Now, listen to this video carefully. I'm going to place my own video. Listen to it carefully. Don't want the Quran to speak for itself. They want to hear people's opinion or words, what you have to say. And mind you, you can take a chunk of a verse and give to somebody. Remember, their perspective of understanding the verse might differ from yours. For instance, if you meet people who play with words in the Quran, who just take a word and make it mean whatever they mean, those people, you give them a verse, the way you understand it is not the way they understand it. So you have to be rest assured with that, right? Remember, we have different levels of knowledge and IQ, right? So sometimes your IQ or understanding is not in the same level with somebody. Do you understand? You can never be the same in the same understanding. So what you need to understand is understand from the perspective a person is talking and the perspective you are also talking from. Yeah. So if you have heard me clearly, in this short video, I have it on my pages, right? Now, perspective is always the key to communication. It is not only about communication. If you don't understand perspective, there will be a problem. So when a Sunni is talking always about Islam, he always has to talk from his perspective based on the Hadith books. Sunnis claim we can't understand Islam or the Quran without their fabricated books. Same goes with every sectarian, like the Shias, and so on. The Shias, somehow they are doing well because they understand the Quran proper than the Sunnis. You understand? So the most important thing is when you quote a verse, you can give somebody a verse. The way you understand it is not the same way they understand it because they have an external source influencing their, understanding. When you quote a verse, you're the one following the Quran as your source of guidance. You understand it to the core based on what God explains. Because we, the believers of the Quran, we agree God is the one explaining the Quran. Mushriks don't agree. Mushrik says Imam Bukhari is the one explaining the Quran for them. So they go to the Hadith books. That is where they say they find the explanation. Remember, that is the same Hadith books I've been quoting for you. The one which says Moses was naked and the stone took his dress and it was running and then Moses has to go and catch the stone and start beating it. This is all Sahih Bukhari. They said this is the explanation of the Quran. So the most important part of everything is perspective. Now, what this guy did with my argument is we call it straw man argument. Now, straw man argument, which is a fallacy, what he did is when I say straw man fallacy, it is a straw man fallacy is the informal fallacy of refuting an argument different from the one actually under discussion. That is a straw man fallacy. So I'm going to show you why I said this is a straw man fallacy, like the guy actually shifted the goalpost. from the wrong spot, from the right spot to the wrong spot. So now let me show you why I said he did a straw man fallacy. I'm going to show you why, the reason why. So now this is my video. I'm going to play that video which was trending, and this guy took the video and he thought he answered me. I'm going to send him back to school and show you the loopholes that people didn't see that, and then they thought the guy has answered my argument. So listen.
You would never find a single verse in the Quran where God is asking you to pray facing the Kaaba. You would never find such a verse in the Quran. I know out of ignorance, some people will quote chapter 2, verse 144. Go back and read it. It shows you don't read your Quran. You don't study. If you foolishly quote to me, Baba Shrai, Quran chapter 2, verse 144, you are a fool. Read it again. Where does it say Kaaba? And read that verse again. Where does it say pray facing the Kaaba? Or maybe you don't understand Arabic. Yes. That verse you find Masjid al-Haram, and it doesn't mention the word Salat there. It never tells you to pray. Chapter 5, verse 97. You will see the Kaaba there. Kaaba is Bayt al-Haram. If God wanted you to pray facing Kaaba, He would tell you to turn your face towards Kaaba. God never says that. Come and show me a verse where God says you should pray and face the Kaaba, unless if you are fooling yourselves. That I don't doubt.
So then the argument, the main argument on the table, come and show me a verse where God stated, listen, explicitly, where God stated you should pray. He used the word pray facing the Kaaba. Come and show me. This is the argument. Wallahi lazim, no scholar on earth can show me a single verse in the Quran where it says pray. He used the word solli, and then turn your face and face the Kaaba. It doesn't exist. This is the main argument. So then when we say straw man fallacy, let me show you in the book of fallacies, right? The book of fallacies, let me show you what we call fallacy so that you understand this in the better sense, right? Okay, let me share the screen here. Here. So when we say straw man fallacy, we are talking about, let me make it bigger so people can see it. A straw man fallacy, when you are arguing with someone, your goal is usually to create an argument that successfully shows the other person's position to be false. Your argument is then called a refutation of your opponent's position from a logical reasoning perspective. Like I keep telling you, perspective is the key to a communication, which is one of finest to the opposition. You ought not to mistreat your opponent, nor should you misrepresent your opponent's position. Here, then it gives you an example, but I'm giving you what we call straw man fallacy or straw man argument. So what the guy did is, you heard my challenge clearly, right? Come and show me a verse where God says you should pray facing the Kaaba. Listen, I didn't say facing QIBLA, facing the Kaaba. Out of their foolishness, they think when we say QIBLA, it means Kaaba. This is what hadith books have taught them. In the Quran, the word QIBLA doesn't mean Kaaba. QIBLA is the Masjid al-Haram. There is a difference. Even the AI, artificial intelligence, know the difference between Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram. But the mushriks, they don't know the difference. Hey, were you? So, ladies and gentlemen, let me play this video. Then we move on to the main topic. One more video. Then we move on to the main topic, right? So this video of mine also, I did it some time back, is very, very important. Listen to the video carefully, right? Carefully. Pay attention to when a person gives you a verse as a reference, and pay attention to how they elucidate it, how they try to present it for their argument and try to clarify it. Many a times people will try to interpolate words into that verse where it doesn't belong. And they will try to twist meanings into words which are not there. So always
Try your best to ask people for references and then sit the verse down and check it for yourself. Then you'll be shocked and amazed at what is being invented. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, this is another video of mine I've done with.
It's a short, but this is to give people heads up, because this is what the correctional officer does to lead my people out of the wrong way to the right way. You have been mentally enslaved, and you need to unlearn to learn again. You've been taught things which are based on falsehood. So you have to unlearn such things and relearn again. Do you get my point? So you pay attention to when people quote verses to you and how they try to interpolate their understanding in the verses of things or with words which doesn't belong in the verse. But they will force it there when it is not there. And that is what mushriks do. They force there to be there when there is no there. So I'm going to help you to see what Prince Mushrik did, so that you see how I'll set him up as a scapegoat. I know the scholars are watching. So don't worry. Baba Shraib, correctional officer, you remember what I did to Siddiq Bozo, right? So this is Siddiq Bozo part 2. So we are going to use him as a scapegoat, part 2. Okay, now, when I take you to Quran chapter 25, verse 44, and let me put it on the screen. Then you see Quran chapter 25, verse 44, right? Yes, this is the verse on the screen. It says, Am tahsabu anna aktharahum yasma'una aw yakilun inhum illa kal an'am balhum adallu sabila. God says, or do you think that most of them listen or reason? You think, especially the mushriks out there, the sectarians, do you think that most of them listen or reason? God says they are just like livestock. Baba Shraib is not saying it. God is saying it. They are just like livestock because they don't listen and reason. Baba Shraib, the video I did is 1 minute. It was simple statement and simple question. Come and show me a verse where God says you should pray and face the KAABA. Otito. How do Yoruba say, is it Otito or Otilo? Otito. That's all I said. So what did the boy do? Strawman. Strawman. And what baffles me, he used garbage books to back his claims up. Come on, if you want to use something, use fresh food. Don't use garbage to come and back your claims. Baba Shraib, it doesn't work in front of me. So I'm going to show you. Or do you think that most of them listen or reason? They don't actually listen and reason. I'll play the boy's video and you see how he messed up. Right? He doesn't even know what we call kalimatu murakkab. As he is saying it. He say kalimatu murakkab. He doesn't know how to use it. He called the QIBLA kalimatu murakkab. It's not. The word QIBLA in Arabic is not kalimatul murakkab. But I'm going to help him out. So according to God, do you think that most of them listen or reason? Most people, they don't listen or reason. But because it has to do with Baba Shraib, they hate me so much. So when something comes out and somebody, do you remember some time ago when I said there's no 5 salat in the Quran, and a guy from Pakistan did a video and then he was misquoting verses. He quoted even Quran chapter 20 verse 130 to represent salat when it just says tasbih there. And these people started sharing the video. Hey, somebody gave him reply. So one day I asked somebody, did you check the verses he quoted? He said no, but he gave you reply. He said, what? If I say 1 + 1 and you say 5, is that not a reply? You give me a reply, but is that the answer? Seriously? So according to God, they are just like livestock. I'm not the one saying it. So when you see Baba Shraib using the word, they are fools. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get offended, please. Baba Shraib is not saying anything new. It's what the Quran says. So I'm just showing you the livestock among the people. They just happen to be human beings, but livestock. God is saying it. I'm not saying it. Please. And again, I take you to Quran chapter 8, verse 22. God says, Inna sharra dawabi indallahi summu bukmu lazina la yakilun. God says, indeed, the worst of creatures in front of God are the deaf and dumb who do not reason. Yes, the deaf and dumb who do not reason. They don't reason, especially the ones commenting on my wall, insulting me and stuff. They never reason. When they see Baba Shuaib's video, instead of them sit down, reflect, reason, but because they have personal hatred for the speaker of the truth, so what they do is they start going in their emotional, cognitive dissonance levels, right? So then they start typing insults. That's what they do. So indeed, the worst of creatures in front of God are the deaf and dumb who do not reason, right? Now, let me play the guy's video. So let's go to the main topic. I'm playing Prince Mushrik's video. Let's see what Prince Mushrik actually did. So Prince Mushrik, let's go to your video. Eh? Don't worry, correctional officer is bringing him to the office. We are going to deal with you today.
Brother says,
Wallahi lazim, you would never find a single verse in the Quran where God is asking you to pray facing the Kaaba. You would never find such a verse in the Quran. I know out of ignorance some people will quote chapter 2 verse 144. Go back and read again. It shows you don't read your Quran, you don't study. If you foolishly quote to me, Baba Shuaib, Quran chapter 2 verse 144, you are a fool. Read it again, where does it say Kaaba? And read that verse again, where does it say pray facing the Kaaba? Or maybe you don't understand Arabic. Yes. That verse you find Masjid al-Haram and it doesn't mention the word Salat there. It never tells you to pray. Chapter 5 verse 97. You will see the Kaaba there. Kaaba is Bayt al-Haram. If God wanted you to pray facing Kaaba, He would tell you to turn your face towards Kaaba. God never says that. Come and show me a verse where God says you should pray and face the Kaaba. Unless if you are fooling yourselves.
fantabulous. If they show to you, then they becomes foolish. Anyway, before I foolishly show to you where the Quran said we should pray towards the Kaaba or we should prostrate ourselves towards it, let me correct you here. I thought when you said you understand Arabic, you really understood Arabic. But at the end, I find nothing. If you really know what Arabic is, at least, you should know what is kalimatun murakkaba. But if you claim that you know Arabic, but you cannot analyze kalimatun murakkaba, then you are fooling yourself. You kept on a verse which is Surah Al-Baqarah, Quran chapter 2, verse 144, that anyone that quote that verse to you, that is the place that asks us to pray towards the Kaaba, then that person is a fool. Let's go through the verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, indeed, we see the turning of your face towards the heavens. So we will surely turn you to the Qibla, which you will be pleased with. So turn your face towards the direction of Masjid al-Haram. And wherever you are, turn your face in its direction. And indeed, those who were given the books, surely know that it is the truth from your Lord. And not is Allah unaware of what they do. When we talk about kalimatun murakkaba, the word Qibla means prayer direction. So Allah said, so we will surely turn you to the Qibla, which you will be pleased with. Most of the translators, whenever they translate and they go to the word Qibla, they don't translate it because it is a compound word, which means prayer direction. So our brother here is saying that
verse you find Masjid al-Haram and it doesn't mention the word Salat there.
What? The word Masjid al-Haram is kalimatun murakkaba, for secret place of worship. The masjid doesn't refer to a building. A building is mabna, not masjid. A masjid is a place of worship. So Allah is talking about the place of worship, not the building. But when they say we pray towards the Kaaba, we have some people that think that Allah lives in the Kaaba. Allah made the Prophet to provide that secret place for us to be united and to be remembering him towards that direction. It does not mean that is where he lives. The word Kaaba is an Arabic word which means cube. But in the Quran, the names that was given to the Kaaba are Al-Bayt, Bayt al-Haram, Bayt al-Muharram, Bayti, Al-Bayt al-Atiq. These are the names that Allah called the Kaaba. Surah Al-Baqarah, Quran chapter 2, verse 125. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the Kaaba, وَإِذْ جَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ, and we made the house مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ, a place of return for mankind, وَأَمْنًا, and a place of secret, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَّقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى, and said, take from the standing place of Ibrahim a place of prayer. He was looking for the word Salat so that he will not believe. Allah said, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَّقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى, وَأَهِدْنَا إِلَىٰ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ, and we made a covenant with Ibrahim and Ismail, and طَهِّرُوا بَيْتِيَ, that you both purify my house or my temple, لِلطَّائِفِينَ, for those who circumambulate, وَالْعَاكِفِينَ, and those who seclude themselves, وَالرُّكَّعِ السُّجُودِ, and those who bow down and prostrate themselves. Another one, Surah Al-Hajj, Quran chapter 22 verse 26, it says, وَإِذْ بَوَّأْنَا بِإِبْرَاهِيمَ مَكَانًا, and when we assigned to Ibrahim the site, Al-Bayti, the house, Allah yushrika bihi shay'a, that do not associate with me anything, وَطَهِّرْ بَيْتِيَ, and purify my house or my temple, لِلطَّائِفِينَ, for those who circumambulate, وَالْقَائِبِينَ, and those who stand, وَالرُّكَّعِ السُّجُودِ, and those who bow and those who prostrate. But the problem with these kind of people is they said they don't follow the hadith, they don't follow the interpretation of the Sahabis of the Prophet, that is the tafsir. But we all know that every single verse that Allah revealed is followed by a reason. If you say you don't follow the explanation of the Prophet, you don't follow the explanations of the Sahabis, when Allah said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Masad, Quran chapter 111, Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tabi, ma aguna anhu maluhu wa ma kasabi, sayasla naran zata lahabi, wa mura'atuhu hammalatal hatabi, fi jidiha hablum min masad. The question today is, why did Allah curse Abu Lahab and his wife in this chapter of the Quran? Did they do something wrong before Allah cursed them, or they were just sitting down and all of a sudden Allah revealed a revelation cursing them? No, they did something. What did they do? Unless you ask the Prophet. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Nahl, Quran chapter 16 verse 44, Bil bayyinati wa zubur, with the clear proofs and the books, wa anzalna alayka zikra, and we send down to you the remembrance, litubayyina linnas, that you may make clear to mankind, ma nuzila alayhim, what has been sent down to them, wa la'allahum yatafakkarun, and that they may reflect. Allah clearly stated that He has sent down the Quran to Muhammad to make it clear for mankind. The explanations and the reason behind every single surah of the Quran is found in the tafsir and the hadith. But if you say you will not follow the explanation of the Prophet, then where will you get this clear when Allah is asking Muhammad to make it clear for you? Allah said in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, Quran chapter 62 verse 2, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم, He is the one who sent among the unlettered a messenger from themselves, يتلو عليهم آياته, reciting them his verses, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and purifying them, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and teaching them the book and the wisdom, وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ, and surely they were from before in clear error. Allah clearly states again in this ayah that the Prophet is teaching them the book, that is the Quran, and wisdom. So the question today is, where is the wisdom of the Prophet when you are denying the hadith? Wisdom is the interpretation behind those verses. Someone may come with something else by saying that if the Quran is complete, why the tafsir or the hadith? It is the same thing that I can ask you. If you knows how to write or if you knows how to talk, why are you going to court with the lawyer? Those who are listening to these kind of people, be careful. I came in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
So Prince Mushrik says he came in peace. Allah, Prince Mushrik, you are going to regret this. I'm serious. You came in peace. This is peace. Don't worry. You are dealing with the correctional officer. And you know what correctional officer does. I told you I'll fact check you. I said it, right? Prince Mushrik, I will fact check you. Maybe you don't know. So you don't know correctional officer. You just stumble on my video and then you decided to do a rebuttal, right? Don't worry. Pata, pata, pata. Your malams, they know me. Your scholars, they know me very, very well. So Prince Mushrik, you came in peace, right? Don't worry. Let's start one by one. You know what I do with the scholars, huh? You don't know. Go to my YouTube channel. What I do to scholars. I go one by one. You are not a scholar. You are just a student. I'm going to take you by your own words, one by one. Because first of all, you did a straw man argument. You couldn't answer my challenge, right? So now I'm going to go on your words one by one. And let's assess your IQ if you have that capacity. So now, I'm playing one of my video to just show you what I'm capable of doing to people, right? Okay, let me play one of my video. Now listen to what I said in the video. But it's always there. I'm not hiding. Let's have a discussion. But be ready to answer my questions. Because you have to prove by logic whatever you are saying. I'll fact check you. Typing is cheap. My phone number is always there. I'm not hiding. Let's have a discussion. But be ready to answer my questions. Because you have to prove by logic whatever you are saying. I'll fact check you. Typing is cheap.
I'm correctional officer for a reason. You have to prove everything you say by logic. Baba Shuaib will fact check you for real. You are playing with fire. Okay. So now I'm going to replay the video, and as usual, I go step by step, right? Correctional officer, right? I do this to scholars. So this guy is just an amateur. So we are going to use the amateur. Because the reason why I'm using him as a scapegoat, I see his so-called Sunni scholars sharing the video and excited. You're playing with fire. Baba Shuaib has his phone number available. Your scholars are scared to call, right? They say I'm misleading the people, but yet they are scared, including you, scared to come and face me. No problem. So now let's go back to your video, step by step, and I'm going to crush you because you are the slaughterhouse. You will see the exposure. Okay, so let's listen to you again.
Brother says,
Wallahi lazim, you will never find a single verse in the Quran where God is asking you to pray facing the Kaaba.
I said Wallahi lazim, you will never find a single verse where God is asking you to pray facing the Kaaba. It doesn't exist. Wallahi, if anybody says it exists, wallahi, come find my phone number, right? Let me put it on the screen. It's on my screen for those on Facebook and YouTube. Find my phone number. I will bring you live on a dialogue. Live. Then you come and show me where God, because the difference between us and the mushriks is that we believe God explains the Quran. You believe your garbage books explains the Quran. You see the difference? Okay. So I made a vow and I said, Wallahi lazim, there is not a single verse where God asks you to pray facing the Kaaba. Such a verse doesn't exist.
You will never find such a verse in the Quran. I know out of ignorance some people will quote chapter 2 verse 144. Go back and read it.
Then I said, I know out of ignorance some people will quote chapter 2 verse 144, just like the amateur Prince Mushrik did. So this is why I started with the logic of giving you how to understand straw man fallacy, right? That he did a straw man argument, right? So I know he's ignorant. He's not up to that level because he doesn't know his scholars know about me already, right? They don't dare step forward to face me. So he happened to just see my video. So he thought I'm just a street guy, homeless guy who is just trying to find trends on internet, right? Okay, so Prince Mushrik, listen to the challenge very well.
It shows you don't read your Quran. You don't study.
And I said, when you quote chapter 2, verse 144 back to me out of ignorance, it shows that you don't read your Quran. You don't study. You see the difference between you and I? Somebody says I should check my sound. Is my sound okay? My sound is okay, right? Okay. I think it's from your side. Ruwaifa excitement is from your side. Okay. So let's go.
Foolishly quotes to me, Baba Shuaib, Quran chapter 2, verse 144, you are a fool.
So then I said, if you foolishly quote to me, Baba Shuaib, Quran chapter 2, verse 144, you are a fool, which means you are not listening to the challenge I'm putting on board. You see the foolishness of the mushriks. When I said, listen, when I quoted Quran chapter 25, verse 44, it says that, do you think that most of them listen or reason? Then God says they are just like livestock. And they are even more astray from the way. So they are not good at listening for them to reason at the challenge Baba Shuaib is throwing. So the best you can do is straw man argument. Fallacy. That's what you can do. So then I said, if you foolishly
quote chapter 2, verse 144 as the answer to my argument, then you are a fool. And it's evident you are a fool. Because my claim is simple. My argument is simple. Because you guys don't allow God to explain his own verses, where God is actually telling you, he is the one explaining the Quran. Look, I'm going to show you something. This is what God says. In Quran chapter 24, verse 18, God says, وَيُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. And God clarifies the verses to you, for God is omniscient and wise. God is the one clarifying his own verses to you. But because you are a mushrik, your scholars told you, no, it is the prophet in the garbage books we have, which will explain the Quran. So God is talking. A garbage book is the one going to explain the words of God to you. Hi, who born you by mistake? Where does it say KAABA? Then I said, read it again. Where does the verse say KAABA? Do you see KAABA in that verse? No, let's be honest. Chapter 2, verse 144. Do you see KAABA, the word KAABA in that verse? Again, read that verse again. Where does it say pray? Now read that verse again. Where does it say solely or pray? Where does it say salah? Where does it say salat? In that verse you quoted. Chapter 2, verse 144. Where is the word KAABA in that verse? Nope. Where is the word salat in that verse, or solely in that verse? Nope. Okay. It's in the KAABA. Or maybe you don't understand Arabic. Or maybe you don't understand Arabic, maybe. Yes, and it's true. Prince Mushrik, you don't understand Arabic. It's true. And I'm going to show the people how you don't understand Arabic. I'm going to use your own videos. You see it. Yes. That verse, you find Masjid al-Haram. And so I went ahead to say that verse, you will find Masjid al-Haram. It is not KAABA you are going to see. You will find Masjid al-Haram, which is different from KAABA, but people don't know this. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if you have what we call the open AI, you have Chat GPT, you have whatever you have, AI, use the paid version. Just ask it a question. That is the Masjid al-Haram, the mosque, the masjid, the sacred mosque. Is it the same as the KAABA? You try it. I'm sitting here right now. Try it right now and tell me the answer it tells you. Even the ordinary Chat GPT, which is less than 1 year, which is just 1 year, less than 1 year, it knows the answer to what the difference between KAABA and Masjid al-Haram. They are not the same. You are the biggest fool. I repeat again. The mushriks, when I say this, they are trembling. You are the biggest fool again. To say Masjid al-Haram is the KAABA, wallah, you are a fool. Simple. Who is a fool? Somebody who lacks good judgment. If you have good judgment, you will never say they are the same. So try it on your end. If you have the open AI, Chat GPT, KAABA, and then the sacred mosque, are they the same? They are not the same. Never. They are not the same. So let's go. It doesn't mention the word salat there. Now it mentioned the Masjid al-Haram, but it doesn't mention the word salat there. What Baba Shuaib is trying to let you understand is let God explain his own book. Out of your foolishness, don't go and bring some garbage book to say that book is going to explain the book of God. Who born you by mistake? Are you nuts? Are you nuts? The God who created you and taught you how to talk. Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan. So you are now going to teach God. Why do you think God says, Wattaqullah wa yu'allimukumullah? You just have to have the fear of God and God will teach you. So God's book, he is the one to teach you. Allama al-insana ma'alam ya'lam. He teaches the human being what he knows not. So he has to teach you. You are not the one to teach God. Now look, it never tells you, listen to the video, it never tells you to pray. Chapter 5, verse 96. So in Quran chapter 2, verse 144, it never ever used the word to pray in that verse. It doesn't exist in that verse. As a matter of fact, the masjid itself is a place of worship, a place of showing your submission. So why will God now tell you stand outside somewhere and pray facing the masjid? Are you nuts? Or you just fail to understand because your garbage books are giving you some explanations and you think that is guidance? Hi, who born you by mistake? You will see the Kaaba there. So now when you go to Quran chapter 5 verse 97, that is where you see Bayt al-Haram. Kaaba is the Bayt al-Haram. Kaaba is not the Masjid al-Haram. I repeat, you are a fool to say Kaaba is Masjid al-Haram. Baba Shraib, the fool, you will get it if you don't stop foolishness. You will get it. Kaaba is Bayt al-Haram. So Kaaba is Bayt al-Haram. Open Quran chapter 5 verse 97 right now and check. Kaaba is the Bayt al-Haram, but it is not the Masjid al-Haram. And I'm going to show you on the screen. Even the AI can answer this question simply. God wanted you to pray facing Kaaba, he will tell you to turn your face towards Kaaba. So if God wanted you to pray facing Kaaba, he would have simply told you, pray facing the Kaaba. Simple command. Look, if God wants you to do something, he will tell you simple. God doesn't need your garbage books to try to interpolate, to say something. God means this, God means that. Your Imam Bukhari, the Sahih al-Bukhari book you have. Imam Bukhari, has he met the Prophet before? Somebody who came over 200 years after the Prophet. You are saying his book is going to explain the words of God. Who born you by mistake? Prince Mushrik. Okay, let's go. God never says that. Come and show me a verse where God says you should pray and face the Kaaba. So this is my argument. Come and show me a verse where God says you should pray facing the Kaaba. But you know the mushriks, they are not good at listening and they are not good at reasoning. So that's why God says they are just like livestock. This challenge is actually easy, but you came doing a straw man fallacies. You are committing a straw man fallacy. That is not my answer you came to give me. Unless if you are fooling yourselves. So then I say, unless if you are fooling yourselves. So now he's going to show me how he fools himself. And I'm going to help you from his own video. Listen.
Fantabulous. If they show to you, then they becomes foolish.
So now I threw a challenge. And he said, fantabulous, if they show to me, then it means they are foolish. So when he started speaking, what do you think he's going to do? You were thinking he's going to quote me a verse where God says you should pray facing Kaaba, right? Is that what you were thinking? Now check what he's going to do.
Anyway, before I foolishly showed you where the Quran said we should pray towards the Kaaba.
Do you hear what he said? Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what he said? Before he foolishly tells me where God says they should pray facing the Kaaba, so he gave you false hopes. Prince Mushrik gave you false hopes. He made you the Mushriks because you are not good at listening and reasoning, just like livestock. So you thought this guy was going to show us where God says we should pray facing Kaaba. So he says before he foolishly, and it's true, he foolishly did that. Actually, he foolishly did that. Let's go.
Or we should prostrate ourselves towards it.
And then he said, or we should prostrate ourselves towards it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Baba Shraib is very, very technical and critical with the choice of words you use. And that is why I keep quoting Quran chapter 10, verse 82, where you hikullah wal haqqa bi kalimatihi walau karaha al mujrimun. And God will enforce the truth with his words, not your words, not my words, even if the criminals dislike it. If you are a criminal, the servant of God is here, Baba Shraib. You will see how I will set you up, you the mushriks, as scapegoat. I've already started dealing with your scholars. Go to my YouTube channel and check my playlist versus scholars. You see. So now listen.
Let me correct you here.
Then he said he's going to correct me. He's going to correct me with what? Hadith book.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, you know what I'm saying?
So he says he's going to correct me. What is he going to correct me with? And Hadith book. So he brought Sahih Bukhari to correct. I threw a challenge. I said, come and show me a verse from the Quran where God says he should pray facing the Kaaba. So he says he's going to correct me. And then he quoted Hadith book, Sahih al-Bukhari. Ladies and gentlemen, let's check the Hadith. I told you Baba Shuaib will fact check you. Let's see. So let's go to the Hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari. Right? And he quoted 7,252. So Sahih al-Bukhari, 7,252, and I put it on the screen, right? I'll maximize it for you. For those on Facebook and YouTube, you can see it, right? So let me put it on the screen, then you can see the hadith. So Prince Mushrik gave us hadith, right? He said 7,252. So here's the hadith. In the hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari 7,252, it says, narrated al-Bara. When Allah's messenger arrived at al-Madinah, he offered salat facing Jerusalem for 16 or 17 months, but he wished that he would be ordered to face the Kaaba. Listen, he wished that he would be ordered to face the Kaaba. So Allah revealed, verily, we have seen the turning of your face, you Muhammad, towards the heaven. Surely we shall turn you to a QIBLA that shall please you. Then he says what? Thus he was directed towards the Kaaba. Do you see what the hadith tells them? This is the hadith telling them directed towards the Kaaba. A man offered the Asr prayer with the Prophet and then went out, and passing by some people from the Ansar, he said, I testify that I offered salat with the Prophet, and he, the Prophet, has offered prayers facing the Kaaba. Thereupon they were bowing in the Asr prayer, turned towards the Kaaba. Ladies and gentlemen, these comedy books, eh? So this is the hadith. The guy said he's using that to correct me. You see the nonsense here? Saying the Prophet was first facing Jerusalem. So now they gave him the hadith is claiming now he stopped facing Jerusalem and he's facing Kaaba. Ladies and gentlemen, what kind of comedy is this? What joke is this? Like seriously, what joke is this? So where was Abraham facing? Ibrahim alayhi salam, where was he facing, ladies and gentlemen? Because the last time I checked, we are following the Millata Ibrahima. So was Ibrahim facing Jerusalem? Where in the name of God, if we are following the Millata Ibrahima, tell me where Ibrahim ever prayed facing Jerusalem. Allah, these people, they are not okay. So he said Prophet Muhammad was facing Jerusalem. For what? God lives in Jerusalem? What is he doing there? What is God doing in Jerusalem? So Muhammad is going to face Jerusalem to pray. Is God? That's where God lives. And now you say he turned to face Kaaba. Kaaba for what? So in the beginning, God never knew he would tell him to face Kaaba. So okay, why was he facing Jerusalem? For what? And this is the claim your hadith book is making. Quran never make these foolish claims. So your book is saying he was facing Jerusalem, and now he turned his face to face Kaaba because the hadith is claiming God told him that. But we don't find a verse in the Quran where God asked the Prophet to face Kaaba. Interesting. Let's continue. Oh, by the way, let me help me out. Let me help him. There's another hadith. Let's help him where they are facing Kaaba. The other hadith is found in Sahih al-Bukhari 400. So let me help me again. They need the hadith book. So let's show them their own books. So Sahih al-Bukhari 400. And I'll put it on the screen also. So let me help them out. You understand? So that they know what their hadith books actually says. So the next hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari 400. And let me put it on the screen. Sahih al-Bukhari 400. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari 400. Narrated Jabir, Allah's messenger used to offer salat. Then he says, while riding on his mount, Rahila, wherever it turned, and whenever he wanted to offer the compulsory salat, he dismounted and prayed facing the Qibla, which is Kaaba at Mecca. So this is what the hadiths they are telling you. Like I told you, hadiths always have their versions to everything the Quran says. They created a parallel religion. So every sectarian, their focus is not based on the Quran. It is what the hadith says. That's why Baba Shuaib calls you the mushriks. You are. Because according to you, we can't practice Islam without your garbage books. Whilst forgetting, this is the month of Ramadan, and the Quran was sent down as a guidance for mankind. Not your garbage books. The Quran was revealed as a guidance for mankind. But you foolishly leave the book of guidance to follow garbage books. Those garbage books are telling you to pray facing Kaaba, as if God lives in Kaaba. You see the foolishness. Okay, so this is their own hadith book. First of all, he used Sahih al-Bukhari 7252 to say he's going to correct me. You are going to correct me, who follows the Quran, with a garbage book. Think twice and come back again. So now, I helped you out by giving you another Sahih al-Bukhari hadith, which is Sahih al-Bukhari 400, also claiming your prophet of the hadith, not the Quran, the prophet of the hadith was facing Kaaba to pray. But the prophet of the Quran never faced the Kaaba to pray. The evidence is clear. Okay, so let's continue with your fallacy. Strawman argument.
You understand Arabic, you really understood Arabic. But
so then he says, I thought when you said you understand Arabic, you really understood Arabic. Now, the game you are trying to play here, where I didn't have that discussion with you. So where did you get that notion that when I said I understand Arabic, I really understand? We never had a discussion where I was telling you I understand Arabic or something. We never had that discussion. Please, if we have that discussion, bring it out. We never had that discussion where we talk about, oh, I thought you understand Arabic. And no, we never had that discussion. Okay. So now, when we say proper hadith is the Quran, chapter 52, verse 34. This is how God uses the word hadith. Quran. So this is the challenge God put forth. Quran chapter 52 verse 34. God says, فَلِيَاتُوا بِحَدِيثٍ مِثْلِهِ إِن كَانُوا صَادِقِينَ. Then let them bring a hadith, a discourse. Hadith is a narration, a discourse, right? Like a narration, a discourse, a discussion, whatever. Bring it. Your hadith. So let them bring a hadith like it. Like what? Mithlihi. God always uses the masculine pronoun. The damir he uses for the Quran or the kitab is always a masculine pronoun. So God is referencing to the kitab, the book, the Quran at the same time. Then he says, فَلِيَاتُوا بِحَدِيثٍ مِثْلِهِ إِن كَانُوا صَادِقِينَ. Are they truthful? They are not truthful. So they are bringing the hadith, which is not like the Quran. You see their foolishness. You are bringing Sahih Bukhari books. Somebody who never met the Prophet. You are bringing his book as a backup in Islam for what? To explain what? Hey. Who bought these guys by mistake? The next verse I'm giving you is Quran chapter 45 verse 6. Now listen, the proper hadith is the Quran. And you are quoting garbage hadith. You say you want to correct Baba Shua, correctional officer. They born you by mistake. So Quran chapter 45 verse 6, God is telling the Prophet, Tilka ayatullahi natluha alayka bilhaq, fabi'ayyi hadisi ba'dallahi wa ayati yuminun. These are the verses of God which we recite to you in truth or with the truth. So in which hadith? Fabi'ayyi hadithi ba'dallahi wa ayatihi yuminun. The foolish ones who say we believe in Sahih Bukhari, we believe in Sahih Muslim, we believe in Jamia Tirmidhi. They say, Akhi, if you don't believe our book, you are a kafir. Yeah, this is what they will tell you. God is telling you, these are the verses, the one you are reading. They are the verses of God which we recite to you. Baba Shuaib is reciting to you in truth, because that is where you find the truth. Al-haqqu min rabbik, fala takunanna min al-mumtarin. The truth is from your Lord. So do not be of the doubters. That is the Quran. You leave this book, and out of your foolishness, you go to some garbage books. You say this book is the one explaining the Quran. Your scholars didn't teach you well.
These are the verses of God which we recite to you in truth. So in which hadith? فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثِ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ وَآيَاتِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. God and his verses. What else do you need? After God and his verses, you still need the words of men to say you are going to explain the book of guidance. After God is telling you in Quran chapter 17 verse 9, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. Quran chapter 17 verse 9. Indeed, this Quran guides to that which is more appropriate. You leave the more appropriate book out of your foolishness. You go and take comedy books, claiming those books are the ones to explain the Quran. And their foolishness, then they will say that is the hadith of the Prophet. Did the Prophet give you the license? Come and quote one hadith for me where the Prophet says, I give you authority. On my authority, this is the hadith. Take it. Come. Now, so this is why Baba Shuaib keeps quoting chapter 10, verse 82, وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Right? And God will enforce the truth with his words, even if the criminals dislike it. Yes. So now let's continue with Prince Mushrik.
Find nothing. If you really know what.
So he wanted to correct me. And then he said, oh, at the end, I found nothing. He didn't find anything. What was he expecting to find? From that 1 minute video, I said, come and prove to me. You did a straw man argument. You say you didn't find anything. Oh, so let's see if I can find something from you.
Arabic is, at least, you should know what is kalimatul murakkaba.
So now he says kalimatul murakkaba, and he went to Google. You can see it was Google. So he went to Google to write kalimatul murakkaba. And I'm going to show you the problem with the kalimatul murakkaba. He said it is a compound word. But now listen, he's going to say QIBLA is a compound word, and that is where the problem is.
But if you claim that you know Arabic, but you cannot analyze kalimatul murakkaba, then you are fooling yourself. You kept.
So then, if Baba Shuaib says this, you say I'm insulting. He said, if I cannot do that, I'm fooling myself. We are going to see if he is the one fooling or me. Let's check.
On a verse which is Surah Al-Baqarah, Quran chapter 2 verse 144, that anyone that quote that verse to you, that is the place that asks us to pray towards the KAABA, then that person is a fool.
So then he put on his video, he says, which means you are indirectly insulting the Prophet and his companions. So do you see how he elevates the Hadith books over the Quran? Because of the references they deal with in the Hadith books, the moment we say something against these Hadith books, they automatically assign it to the Prophet and says we are insulting the Prophet. Do you see how the work of a mushrik, the brain of a mushrik works? Do you see? Aha. So this is what we call the straw man argument. Again, fallacy. Again. Now listen to what he's going to do. The kalimatu murakkaba. Listen what he's going to do.
Go through the verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, indeed, we see the turning of your face towards the heavens. So we will surely turn you to the Qibla, which you will be pleased with. So turn your face towards the direction of Masjid al-Haram. And wherever you are, turn your face in its direction. And indeed, those who were given the books, surely know that it is the truth from your Lord. And not is Allah unaware of what they do. When we talk about kalimatul murakkaba, the word QIBLA means prayer direct.
Then he says, when we say kalimatu murakkaba, the word QIBLA. So the word QIBLA is not a kalimatu murakkaba. Kalimatu murakkaba is a compound word. And I'm going to show you the loopholes in his understanding. Okay, let me show you something here. When we say a compound word, let me show you something here. When we say kalimatu murakkaba, murakkaba, it's a compound word, is a word that is formed by combining two or more separate words to create a new word with its own distinct meaning.
These separate words, listen carefully, can be roots, stems, or other types of lexical units. Compound words can consist of nouns, verbs, adjectives, or other parts of speech. Examples of compound words include, like when we say bookshelf, is book and the shelf, you join it together. Rain and then bow, so we say rainbow. Foot and then ball, we say football. Compound words can also consist of multiple morphemes, such as what? Prefixes, suffixes, or infixes attached to a base word. For instance, unhappiness is a compound word formed from the prefix un, that is un, and the base word happiness. Now, if you say the word QIBLA, it is a kalimatu murakkaba, that is wrong. The root word, the roots for the word QIBLA is qaf, then ba, and then the lam. As a masculine noun, we say QIBLA without the taw marbut. When the taw marbut is added at the end of QIBLA, it becomes a feminine noun. A noun in Arabic is ism. This ism, we can also make it as kalimatun, we can say ismul murakkabun. This murakkabun, ismun murakkabun is a compound noun. Now, when you have a compound noun, which is ismun murakkabun, a compound noun is a specific type of compound word where both parts of the compound function together as a single noun. In a compound noun, the meaning of the whole is often different from the meanings of its individual parts. Compound nouns can be formed by combining two nouns, like toothbrush, birthday, a noun and an adjective, blackboard, sunflower, or a noun and a verb, example, swimming pool, washing machine. Compound nouns are commonly used in English and many other languages, also Arabic, right, to express complex ideas succinctly. Now, in summary, while all compound nouns are compound words, not all compound words are compound nouns. Now, compound nouns specifically refer to words formed by combining two or more nouns or words functioning as nouns. Compound words, on the other hand, encompass a broader range of word formations beyond just nouns, including verbs, adjectives, and other parts of speech. So, assuming if this guy said that Masjid al-Haram is a compound word, fine. Or if he says it's a compound noun, fine. It can be tolerated. But if you say the word QIBLA is a compound noun, something is wrong in the head. The word QIBLA is standing on its own. It's not joined. For instance, in Arabic, if I say Qiblataka or Qiblatika, tiki, if I say Qiblataka, that becomes a compound word because I'm joining the Qibla and the pronoun ka. So then it becomes a compound word or a compound noun. Do you understand what compound? So when we say kalimatu murakkab, this kalimatu murakkaba, this compound word, the word QIBLA doesn't fall in that criteria. You're confused, Prince Mushrik. I told you, I'll fact check you. Let's go back to your statement.
Allah said, so we will surely turn you to the Qibla, which you will be pleased with. Most of the translators, whenever they translate and they go to the word Qibla, they don't translate it because...
Now he's going to make the loophole. He says because they don't translate the Qibla because, listen, because...
it is a compound word, which...
because Qibla is a compound word. Who taught you by mistake? So this is the garbage your scholars were sharing all over the world. Hey, Prince Mushrik, who told you QIBLA is a compound word? Ladies and gentlemen, There is a reason why they made what we call the AI. Maybe when Baba Shuaib says it, you will not believe it. When you said QIBLA, standing on its own, is a compound word. How? Assuming if you have said the meaning that your hadith book gave it as direction of prayer is a compound word, yes, it can make sense because the direction is a noun and then we have prayer, which is a noun. So you are joining the direction of prayer. Yes, it can be tolerated. But the word in Arabic itself, QIBLA, you said it's a compound word. How? Do you understand the meaning of compound word? That's why we say compound. For those based in Africa, you saw how a lot of people live in the house with compound house. We call it compound house, right? You have rooms, a lot of rooms and houses attached together. That's what we call compound. Now, murakkaba. Okay, so now listen to the guy.
Means prayer direction. So
then he says QIBLA means prayer direction. According to who? According to your hadith books. According to the Quran, QIBLA doesn't mean prayer direction. So what he did is, he said QIBLA means prayer direction. Do you see what he did? He never gave you reference where QIBLA means prayer direction. He just said QIBLA means prayer direction. So ladies and gentlemen, we are going to fact check him. The word QIBLA, apart from the advent of hadith books, QIBLA doesn't mean prayer direction. It is the influence of hadith books which actually interpolated this understanding and made people think when we say QIBLA, it means prayer direction or direction of prayer. This is what the hadith books does. Just like I told you, when we say hadith, the hadith books have brought a new meaning. When we say sunnah, they brought a new meaning. When we say hijab, they brought a new meaning. When we say hikmah, they brought a new meaning. When we say, how will I call it? When we say QIBLA, they brought their own meaning. Do you see what they do? So guys, let me help you out. Check something here. Now check something. In Quran chapter 2 verse 42, God says, وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. He says, do not cover the truth with falsehood, or do not mix the truth with falsehood. وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. In order to hide or conceal the truth while you know. So what they do is, hadith books or the hadith followers, they will normally present something to sound like the truth, and then they will use their falsehood to cover it. And that is why sectarians will tell you, you can't understand the Quran without the hadith books. So you can't understand the truth without our false books. This is what they do to you, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something. Now, what people fail to realize is this guy saying that QIBLA means a prayer direction. I'm going to take you to some of the dictionaries or classical dictionaries to show you something. He said QIBLA means prayer direction. We are going to put him to the test. Let me put it on the screen. I show you something. Here. So let's go to almani.com. He said QIBLA means prayer direction, right? Okay. If you know what we call kamus in Arabic, which is a dictionary or vocabulary, right? Where you have your vocabularies, right? So a dictionary, right? When you put one word, it gives you the meaning of one word. Because QIBLA is a one word. It's not a compound word. Now listen. I'm going to put the word here to show you something. When I put the word destination, when I put the word destination, I'm going to show you the meanings of destination. Now, when you check throughout the meanings on the screen, I don't know if you can see it clearly.
This is one of the meanings. Qibla. When I put the word direction, this is one of the meanings. Qibla. Do you see it on the screen? Direction. Not direction of prayer. The meaning direction of prayer came from the hadith. It doesn't come from the Quran. The Quran never means, Qibla never means direction of prayer. And I will show you why I said that. Okay. When I put the word, apart from that, when I put the word, let's say, let me take this. When I put the word target, you see the word Qibla here. Target means Qibla. Destination means Qibla. Direction means Qibla. Okay, let's go. When we say focus, when we say focus as a noun, not as a verb, right? Focus as a noun, here you have Qibla. Focus as a noun. Now, so what I'm going to show you is, listen carefully, what I'm going to show you here. When we say aim, to aim at something, aim, your purpose in the head, right? And then we take it as a noun, right? Aim as a noun. You see here on the right hand side is Qibla. Huh? Okay. When we say goal, goal, meaning your destination, goal, as a noun, you see here, Qibla. Now, the moment you are putting it directly as a compound word and you say direction of prayer, like this, it doesn't work in the dictionary. So now you see here, when you go to the meaning, direction of prayer, you will not see Qibla here. Because then they are telling you the general versions of the meanings from other sources, like general, military, media, and so on, right? Now, what the Hadith books does, what they do is, they go from the Hadith, bring a meaning, then they insert it into Islam to give people the idea that that is what this means. So when this boy quoted this verse, he said it means the direction of prayer. According to which source? He didn't tell you. So this is where they cause the straw man argument, the fallacies there. He says it means the direction of prayer. According to where? So let's go and ask God. The word Qibla, what does it mean? So I'm taking you to Quran chapter 2, verse 177. Let's ask God. The word Qibla, what does it mean? On the screen here. Now, in Quran chapter 2, verse 177, God says, Laysal birra an tuwallu wujuhakum. Wujuhakum, then he says, Qibla al-mashriqi wal-maghrib. Naysal birra an tuwallu wujuhakum Qibla al-mashriqi wal-maghrib. God says, righteousness is not to turn your faces towards or in the direction of. So the word Qibla used by God in the Quran is in the direction, as a direction. Or we can say what? Destination in another context. We'll go to another verse to see the meaning. So righteousness is not to turn your faces towards the east and the west. Right? Okay. So you see the word Qibla here, and this is how it's used as a masculine noun in Arabic here, Qibla, in the Quran. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something from what he says. Let's see what he is saying here.
Saying that
verse you find Masjid al-Haram, and it doesn't mention the word Salat there.
What? The word Masjid al-Haram is kalimatun murakkaba, for secret place of worship.
If you say Masjid al-Haram is kalimatu murakkaba, that you are right. But the word Qibla is not kalimatu murakkaba. The word Masjid al-Haram has two words joined together. It can be an adjective and a noun, or a noun and a noun. Yes, Masjid al-Haram.
That is a kalimatu murakkaba. But you made a slip up by saying what? KAABA is what? KAABA is what? Or you say what? QIBLA is kalimatu murakkaba. No, it's not. Even the word KAABA is not kalimatu murakkaba. But you can say Masjid al-Haram is kalimatu murakkaba. That you are right. I told you correctional officer will fact check you. Now let's go.
Masjid doesn't refer to a building.
Now he said masjid doesn't refer to a building. I don't know if the mushriks also watching, they agree with him. He says masjid doesn't refer to a building. Who born this guy by mistake? Ladies and gentlemen, he said masjid doesn't refer to a building. This, I'm not saying it. He said it. Masjid. Quran chapter 72 verse 18. God says, "Wa annal masajida lillahi fala tad'u ma'allahi ahadan." And the masjids, the places of worship, because it's a building, they build it. They are mosques. The wa annal masajida lillahi fala tad'u ma'allahi ahadan. When you go to the masjid, even in the Quran, I give you verses to stipulate that so that you understand. Now, when this guy says masjid is not referring, it's not a building. If you go to Quran, there is something we call ismul makan. Ismul makan is a noun of a place. Ism in Arabic is noun. Makan is a place or position, right? So ismul makan, you have the word sajada. The word sajada is a verb. It's an action word. Now, when you put the prefix mim, ma, in front of it, it becomes masjid. Just like we have the word kataba. If you put the prefix in front of it, it becomes maktab. It becomes an office or a library. So it becomes in a building. It is there. This guy says masjid is not a building. So look at the fallacy he's going to commit. Listen to what he said.
Building is mabna, not.
Then he says building is mabna. Well, we don't have a problem with that. But it shows you have a shallow thinking in your head. So I'm going to use the Quran to show to the people that yes, masjid is in the Quran and it's a building. If you go to Quran chapter 2 verse 191, Indal Masjid al-Haram. Quran chapter 8 verse 34 to 35, Indal Bayt, Indal Masjid al-Haram. Quran chapter 9 verse 7, Inda al-Masjid al-Haram. Quran chapter 22 verse 25, Indal Masjid al-Haram. Quran chapter 48 verse 27, Indal Masjid al-Haram. This guy says Masjid al-Haram, that masjid is not a building. So ladies and gentlemen, when you go to the Kaaba, when you go to Mecca, is it not a building you see there as a masjid? So he says masjid is not a building. Hey, okay, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the errors this guy is committing? Okay, now let's listen.
Masjid. A masjid is a place of worship. So Allah is talking about the place.
The moment you use the word place of worship, in Arabic, that's what we call ismul makan. The moment it becomes a place, masjid, it's a mosque. We build it. So Quran chapter 24 verse 32, 36, God says, "Fi buyutin azna Allahu an turfa wa yuskara fiha asmu yusabbihu lahu fiha bil ghudwi wal asal." So God calls the masjids as buyut, houses. God has given permission that those houses should be raised. It's a building. You raise a building. Just like Ibrahim raised the Qawaida. Quran chapter 2 verse 127. He raised the Qawaida. Right? Now, if you say the masjid is not a building, where are you heading to? Do your scholars also agree with you by sharing your videos? Seriously?
Place of worship, not the building. But when
Then he says, place of worship, not the building. So what does it mean? Where do we find this place of worship? Where? Hello, Prince Mushrik. Where do we find this place of worship? So place of worship, not the building.
they say we pray towards the Kaaba, we have some people that.
Now this is where they don't know the difference between Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram. They don't know the difference between Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram. So ladies and gentlemen, let me help you out. let's go and ask, let me show these mushriks the difference. Let's go and ask the AI to help them out, because if Baba Shuaib is saying, they might say I'm lying. So we are going to ask the AI if Masjid al-Haram is this and Kaaba are the same. So I'll put it on the screen and see this. Let me share it on the screen. Sorry. Here. On the screen, ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Is the sacred mosque the same as the Kaaba in Mecca? Now listen, if Baba Shuaib says it, they might say, oh, the ChatGPT, I'm going to ask it. It says, the sacred mosque, Masjid al-Haram, and the Kaaba are closely associated with each other, but they are not the same. The Kaaba is a cube-shaped building located within the precincts of the sacred mosque in Mecca. So Kaaba is different and Masjid al-Haram is different. The Kaaba is considered the holiest site in Islam and is the focal point, right? They will say of Muslim prayer, because this is the Hadith influenced understanding. But the question here is the Kaaba the same as the Masjid al-Haram? The answer is no. Do you see? Okay. Now, what these people say is, they say we should pray facing the Kaaba. Now listen carefully. You don't find such a verse in the Quran where God says pray facing the Kaaba. So then how did these people interpolate the word Kaaba in chapter 2 verse 144? How did that happen? So let's go and see something. What happens is, when you take Quran chapter 16 verse 89, let me show you this verse. Quran chapter 16 verse 89, God says, وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبِيَّانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبِيَّانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً وَبُشْرَى لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. Not the mushriks, لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. God says, we have revealed to you the book as a clarification, elucidation, exposition of all things, as guidance and mercy and good news for the what? For the Muslims. So we, the Muslims who follow the Quran, we believe the book gives us the clarification of all things that we need for our guidance. We don't need your hadith books to tell us what Quran is telling us. The Quran is sufficient for us. Okay. Now, so what they do is they will leave the Quran on the side and then go to the hadith for a new understanding. Now, let me show you something here. The issue with people is they think when we say the Masjid al-Haram, it automatically means the Kaaba. They are not the same. Now, one of the buildings over there, one is for God and one is for the people. But people don't know this difference. So I'm going to use the Quran to show you the difference. That one of the buildings, these two buildings you find there, the Masjid al-Haram and the what? And the Kaaba, one is for God and one is for the people. So let's go and see. Now, when you go to Quran chapter 5, verse 97, when we say Bayt al-Haram, that is the Kaaba. Kaaba is the Bayt al-Haram. So first of all, I'm taking you to Quran chapter 5, verse 2. In Quran chapter 5, verse 2, let me share the screen. Here. In Quran chapter 5, verse 2, where God says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, la tuhillu sha'air Allahi wala shahr al-haram wala al-hadiya wala al-qala'ida wala al-amina bayt al-haram yabtaguna fadlan min rabbihim wa ridwana. Now, when you go throughout the verse, what I want you to see is, here God mentions Bayt al-Haram. The Bayt al-Haram is the Kaaba, chapter 5, verse 97. That is Kaaba. When you, in the same verse I am now, chapter 5, verse 2, in that same verse, God says, here, Saddukum anil Masjid al-Haram.
So in that same verse, God mentioned the Masjid al-Haram and he mentioned the Bayt al-Haram. The Bayt al-Haram, and God explains to you that that is the Kaaba. Quran chapter 5, verse 97. So in Quran chapter 5, verse 97, God says, Ja'ala Allahu al-Ka'bata al-Bayt al-Haram qiyaman lin-nas. So the Kaaba is for the people. That is not the house for God. So listen, I'm going to show you the difference in the Quran. Kaaba is for the people, lin-nas. Right? Ja'ala Allahu al-Ka'bata al-Bayt al-Harama qiyaman lin-nas. So the Kaaba is the one standing for the people. When we know that masjids are for God, that's why he says, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ. A masjid is for God. There's a difference between the Masjid al-Haram and then the Bayt al-Haram. The Bayt al-Haram, that is why it has a definite article. We have what we call Adat al-Tarif, right? And for those who know the Nahu, the syntax. Now, when we say Bayt al-Haram, it says al-Bayt al-Haram is definite article. So Kaaba is made as the Bayt al-Haram. The Masjid al-Haram is the place of worship for God. That belongs to God. So we have the mosque and we have the Kaaba. So now what I'm going to do is to show you the difference. If you go to Quran chapter 2, verse 125, here, God says, وَإِذْ جَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ. Now still, you see here, the al-bayt is made for the what? مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ. So that is al-bayta. The Kaaba is different. Then he says, وَأَمْنَا. Then he says, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Maqama Ibrahima, that place, that is where you take the musalla. So that is the where masjid is. That is your musalla, where you take and do your act of worship. But the Kaaba is a place of resort for the people. وَإِذْ جَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ. That is what the Kaaba is made for. It's a mathabata linnas. Kaaba is not the house of God. A masjid is the house of God, because masjid is the one dedicated to God. That's why we call God in the masjid. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال. That is the masjid. That is the one God says وأن المساجد لله فلا تدعوا مع الله أحدا. So now chapter 5 verse 97, it tells you the Kaaba is for the people. Chapter 2 verse 125, it tells you that Kaaba al-Bayta is a place of resort for the people. Okay. Again, I take you to Quran chapter 3 verse 96 to 97. God says, Inna awwala bayti wudiya linnas. Listen carefully. Wudiya linnas. Lallazi bibakkata. Then he says, Mubarakan wa hudan lil alamin. So God says, indeed, the first house set up for the people, for mankind, was that which is at Bakka. Not for God. Listen carefully. The house, he didn't say this house is for God. There is a difference. The house of God is the masjid. That Kaaba is not the house of God, but people have been manipulated and confused, mentally enslaved to think the Kaaba is the house of God. You see where the problem is? Indeed, the first house set up for mankind was that which is at Bakka, blessed and a guidance for all people, because that house is dedicated for the people. It's a place of resort for you. That is not the house of God. So then God says, therein are signs as proofs. Then he says, Maqama Ibrahima, because that is where Abraham was based. He based there. He left his family there. Quran chapter 14, verse 37. Abraham was based there before. That's why he left his family there. Because there's a masjid, and then there's the al-Bayt, which is the Kaaba for the people.
So Haram, Al-Bayt al-Haram is the Kaaba. The Masjid al-Haram is the one dedicated to God. But they are in the same location, but they are not the same house. Okay. So now you see clearly where God says, therein are signs as proofs, the place of Ibrahim. Whoever enters it will be safe, because that house is dedicated for the people. Enter it. That Kaaba. Do they allow you to enter it? No. They are rather telling you to pray facing it. How can you be fooling yourself? Let God explain his verses to you. Don't put your own words into the words of God. Then God says, and upon the people is a pilgrimage to the house. For what? For God. Whoever is capable of the way to it. Then he says, as for those who disbelieve, because God has made that house specifically for you, the people. So you go for pilgrimage to the house. They have to allow you to even go inside and enter it and see it. Ask yourself, when you go for Hajj, do they allow you to go inside? They only left it for the princes and the kings and whatever dignitaries, leaving you out, making you kiss the stone, making you worship the house out of foolishness. The house is meant for you. As for those who disbelieve, then indeed God avails the worlds. Again, let's go. So now we can see that the Bayt al-Haram, the Kaaba, belongs to the people. It is made as a place of resort for the people. I'm not the one saying it. God is explaining his own verses. Okay. Now, the reason why that land there is haram, because it's a sacred place. I'm not saying it. Listen what God says in Quran chapter 27 verse 91. Listen. It says, Innama umirtu an abuda rabba hazil baldati. Lazi harramaha walahu kullu shay'in. Wa umirtu an akuna min al-muslimin. So this is Prophet Muhammad himself speaking. He says, I, Muhammad, I have only been commanded to worship the Lord of this city, who has made it sacred. He made that city where the Kaaba is, where the Masjid is, where the Mash'ar al-Haram is, that is Arafah and the Muzdalifah. He made those places haram, which is a sacred place, right? Sacred place. So that place has to be dedicated for the act of worship and other things. Now, and I have been commanded to be of the Muslims, not Ali Sunnah. So Prophet Muhammad was not a Sunni, neither was he a Shiite. He was a Muslim. Okay, so this is why the Masjid is haram and the Kaaba is also Bayt al-Haram, because they are in the haram. That place itself is a sanctuary. So we have the Masjid there, Masjid al-Haram. We have the Bayt there, Bayt al-Haram. But one is for God and one is for the people. This is why people are confused. And you go out of ignorance. You go facing Kaaba. Where did God ask you to face Kaaba? And again, Masjid al-Haram is the one dedicated to God. So I'm going to show you the verses. Quran chapter 22, verse 26. I'm going to help you out. Where is Bawa'ana li Ibrahima makan al-bayt. Now listen, the makan, the place of the what? The site of the house, the place of the house, to Ibrahim, that do not associate anything with me. Then now God said, purify my house, because God's house is the masjid, is there. It is different from the Kaaba. The Bayt of God, which is the masjid, is Masjid al-Haram. But that is God, the house of God, which is also holy house, which is the temple, the masjid. So that is for God. So when God assigned the site of the Kaaba to Ibrahim, that is the Maqam Ibrahim, because he has to live in there. That house is for people. It's for mankind. You are the ones to enter it. You can leave it, go and sleep in it if you want. But the masjid of God, since you are living in that house, the Kaaba is for a place of resort for you. You can be taking care of the masjid of God there. That is the idea. But what did the hadith do? The hadith made it vice versa. Then you rather gave the Kaaba to God.
And you left the masjid for who? Allah. And when we assigned the site of the house to Ibrahim, so that house, the site of the house, the place of the house has been assigned to Ibrahim. That is the Kaaba. It's a place of resort for you, the people. You have to enter it. You have to be safe. It's a safe place for you. But the house of God is the masjid. Do not associate anything with me and purify my house, not the Kaaba. Kaaba is not his house. His house is the masjid. He kept telling you, chapter 72, verse 18, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. So it is the masjid you purify. And I'm going to show you this answer. You will be amazed. It's in the Quran. Take your time. Anything with me and purify my house for those who walk around and those who stand and those who bow down in prostration. Then again, when God is using my house, it is not the Kaaba. Please pay attention. Kaaba is for the people. Kaaba is the bait as mathabata linnas. It's a place of resort for you. That is different. That's why people enter, even the kings. I have videos of them entering inside the Kaaba. I'm serious. It's not a house you have to pray facing it or you worship it. I'm serious. I'm telling you for a fact. Okay. Then the next evidence is in Quran chapter 2, verse 125. Now listen. It says, وَإِذْ جَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ. And then we made the house a resort for mankind, for the people, and security. Then now God is going to tell Ibrahim, listen, so take a place of Ibrahim, a place of prayer, that is Musalla. So the Kaaba is there. Now you have to take the Musalla, the place of Ibrahim, that is the masjid there. A place of Ibrahim, you take that masjid, the Musalla, a place of prayer. When we say Musalla, a place you establish your prayer. So which is the masjid. So take that one for prayer. For we entrusted to Abraham and Ishmael that purify my house. The one that you are going to take for prayer, that one, purify it for God. Whilst the Kaaba is for you, mankind, the people. How is it difficult to understand? But you people leave the verses of God, listening to some garbage books influencing your brains. Purify my house, which is the mosque. The mosque are the houses of God. That is the house God gave permission. You should glorify him, praise him, call him. You left his house and you are facing the house he gave to you for resort. Hey! Purify my house, which is the masjid, for those who roam and those who abide and those who bow down in prostration. His house is the masjid. Purify that one. You left that one, and you are what? You are facing. Okay. The next evidence, chapter 14, verse 37. This is where Ibrahim says, Rabbana inni askantu min zuriyati biwa'adil ghayri zi zar'i. Inda baytika, listen. Inda baytika, you God, your house is the masjid. So inda baytika al-muharram. Al-muharram. This Masjid al-Haram, the Al-Muharram, Masjid al-Haram is the Bayt of God. That is the one dedicated to God, not the Kaaba. The Kaaba is dedicated to the people. So when Abraham said, I've left of my family, my descendants there, they are the ones to live in the Kaaba, to stay there in the Kaaba. It's a house. Let me show you inside the Kaaba. Maybe you have not seen how it looks. Let me show you. I have the pictures of it here. Let me show you how the inside is.
Now, this is the Kaaba. For those on Facebook and YouTube, this is how the Kaaba is. You see people inside. This is the house you've been fooling yourself all these years, praying and facing this house, when God never asked you to pray facing that house. The house is meant for you, the people. This is the people in Saudi Arabia entering that house, that building. They are inside. Look, let me show you the video of the inside. I'm going to show you the video of the inside. Now watch. He actually gave me a gift. God bless you, brother. I appreciate the gifts. Thank you very much. That is Alpha Music Empire. I appreciate that. One love. Thank you for the gift. And we have also this brother, Ali Yare. Ali Yare also. I appreciate. Thank you for the gifts. He says, Bushirikanga is my new favorite phrase. Thank you. God bless you, brother. So now, thank you very much. Something happened when I was trying to put the video, and then something happened. I apologize for this. So I'm going to show you the inside the Kaaba. So for those on TikTok, if when you rewatch this video, you are going to see it on Facebook and YouTube, right? So I'm going to share the video, and then you get to see the inside the Kaaba, how it is, right? Okay, so this is the video. Watch. You are going to see inside the Kaaba, which is meant for you, the people. That Kaaba is not for God. It's for you, the people. But you made the Hadith book fool you for years. And that is why I keep throwing the challenge. Correctional officer here to fix your brains if you don't want to reason well. This is inside the Kaaba. Now check. They are showing you this, the house you've been wasting all your years saying you are facing this house. Because out of your foolishness, if you are in the Masjid al-Haram, where do you face? You again face the Kaaba again. This is somebody inside the Kaaba praying. So tell me, where does he face? So this is inside the Kaaba, you can see, right? I muted the sound for copyright reasons, right? Exactly. When somebody's asking, when it comes to facing, where do I face when you are doing salat? Salat is for God. Quran chapter 20, verse 14. Innani anallah la ilaha illa ana fa'abuduni wa aqimis salat li zikri. You establish salat for the remembrance of God. If it is God you are looking for, Quran chapter 2, verse 115. God, whether you turn to the east and the west, belongs to God. Face anywhere you want. God is there. It is God you are looking for. Why are you facing the house? The Hadith books have fooled you for years. Mentally enslaved. You go facing that building for what? Where did God ask you to do that? Where? I dare anybody watching. Wallahi lazim. Come live. Let's have a dialogue. Show me where God told you to face this house and pray. He gave you this house as a resort. That is yours. The Musalla is the Masjid al-Haram. That is the one for God. That one is the house of God, not Kaaba. Kaaba is for you, the people. That is the kings, the chiefs, the whatever, entering inside, walking inside with their shoes and everything. That is the building. I just showed the video. And let me show you something, right? Just a second. Let me show you something. Let me see if I can open it here. Just a second. I saved it somewhere. Let me see. I can't find it. Yeah. I was looking for a file. I cannot find, but it's okay. Let's continue so that it doesn't stall the program for a long time. Okay. So the evidences I'm showing you, we go back to the verse I was quoting earlier, right? I was on Quran chapter 14, verse 37. And let me share the screen for you to see, right? Okay, this is the verse on the screen. Then Ibrahim said what? Our Lord, indeed, I have settled
some of my offspring in a valley without planting near your sacred house. That is the masjid. The sacred house of God is the masjid. That is the one belonging to God, our Lord, so that they may establish the salat. So when the Kaaba is meant for us as a resort, you are establishing the salat in the Masjid al-Haram. That is your Qibla. It is not the Kaaba. Kaaba is not your Qibla. It is the hadith books fooling you to make you think when we say Qibla, it means the Kaaba. God never even asked you to pray facing the Kaaba. Neither did he say pray facing Masjid al-Haram. The masjid is the one supposed to be used for worshiping God, for the salat, and for the act of worship, the masjid. So now, so that they may establish the salat. So make the minds of the people inclined to them and provide them with fruits. Perhaps they will be thankful. So Ibrahim left some of his offspring there. Do you understand? So they are the ones basing in the Kaaba, because God has given the Makan al-Bayt, the Makan al-Bayta to Ibrahim. Now, you see there is a difference between Bayt al-Haram. I showed you Bayt al-Haram. That is the one for the people. That is the what? The Kaaba is for the people. Masjid al-Haram is for who? For God. So Quran chapter 72 verse 18, wa anna al-masajida lillahi fala tad'u ma Allahi ahadan. Every masjid belongs to God. Now, Mashhar al-Haram, the Mashhar al-Haram is found in Quran chapter 2 verse 198, which is where the Arafah and the Muzdalifah, where they call Muzdalifah, is based. So that site also is a sacred site. So this is why the land that land إنما حرم ربي هذا البلدة الذي أرمها ولو كل شيء. This land that God has made sacred, it contains all these sacred things there. Now, all are found there, and that is why it's called a sanctuary. Quran chapter 28 verse 57. Now, what happens is the word Kaaba has been mentioned in the Quran 2 times. Quran chapter 5 verse 95 and Quran chapter 5 verse 97. That is where you find the Kaaba. Apart from these 2 verses, you will never find Kaaba again. Quran chapter 5 in Quran chapter 5, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 95, you see Kaaba. In Quran chapter 5 verse 97, you see the Kaaba. 2 times only. You will never find Kaaba again. Then when we say the Masjid al-Haram, it has been mentioned 14 times in the Quran. You will find it in Quran chapter 48 verse 27, 48 verse 25, 22 verse 25, chapter 22 verse 25, chapter 9 verse 28, chapter 9 verse 19, chapter 9 verse 7, chapter 8 verse 34, chapter 5 verse 2, chapter 2 verse 217, chapter 2 verse 196, chapter 2 verse 191, chapter 2 verse 150, chapter 2 verse 149, chapter 2 verse 144. That is Masjid al-Haram. You find it 14 times in the Quran, which is the house for God, whilst the Kaaba is for the people. Now, according to Quran chapter 2 verse 177, when we say the direction, which is a destination, which is a target, which is a focus. Now, when you go to Quran chapter 10 verse what? 82, where God says, وَيُحِقُّ اللَّهُ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَلَوْ كَرَهَ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. And God will enforce the truth with his words, even if the criminals dislike it. Because what happens is, the criminals always will want to enforce the truth with their words, to give it a meaning, to concoct a meaning which doesn't exist in the Quran. So now we are going to use Musa alayhi salam to assess that. But before that, let me continue playing this guy's video. Then you get to hear what he said and how he was lying. Yeah.
That says,
Masjid al-Haram.
An Arabic word which means cube, but him and Ismail, and Tahiro Baitia, that you both purify my house or my temple, Ifina, for those who circumambulate, Wal Akifina, and those who seclude themselves, Wal Rukke is sujud, and those who bow down and prostrate themselves. Another one, Suratul Hajj, Quran chapter 22 verse 26, it says, Wa idba wa'ana bi Ibrahim makena, and when we assigned to Ibrahim the site, Al-Baiti, the house, Allah yushrika bihi shay'a, that do not associate with me anything, wa tahhir baitiya, and
so you see, when God mentioned Al-Baiti, that God gave the makan of the Al-Baiti to Ibrahim, this guy automatically thinks that when God says purify my house, he is assigning that Al-Baiti to the house of God automatically. So we are going to see that when you go to Quran chapter 8 verse 34, I'm going to show you something on the screen. Then you understand the Al-Baiti. Al-Baiti, we have the one which is for God. Then we have the one which is for the people. Now the one for God is the what? The Masjid al-Haram. The one for the people is the Kaaba, as I explained earlier. So I'm going to show you something. Now when you go to Quran chapter 8 verse 34, and I'm going to read up to verse 35. Now check something here. I'm going to put it on the screen. Chapter 8 verse 34 to verse 35. God says, but why should God not punish them while they are repelling from the Masjid al-Haram? وَهُمْ يَسُدُّونَ عَنِ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ, repelling people from the Masjid al-Haram, and they were not its guardians. They were not its guardians. Its guardians are only those who are pious, but most of them do not know. Then you go to verse 35. Now we are reading the context. And their litany, their salat at the house. So in this context, when it says the house, it is referencing to the what? Masjid. When you read from verse 34 and you come to verse 35, when it says Masjid al-Haram, it comes verse 35 to show you what is happening. Those ones taking care of the place, what they do is, and their salat at the house was only singing and clapping. So taste the punishment for what you have been disbelieving. So in this context, chapter 8 verse 35 is referencing the al-Bayt to the Masjid al-Haram, which is also a Bayt. So this Bayt al-Haram, which is the Kaaba for the people, al-Bayt al-Haram, God's own is also al-Bayt, but we call it Masjid al-Haram. Okay, now let's go back to Prince Mushrik.
my house or my temple,
So here you hear what he said. He says, purify my house or my temple. He said, listen carefully. He said earlier on that when we say masjid, it doesn't mean a building. It doesn't mean a place, a building. Right? He said it. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, this guy said, when we say masjid, it doesn't mean a building. Right? It doesn't mean a building. So now he used the word temple. Okay, now let's check the meaning of temple. Now, when we say temple, we are talking about place of worship consisting of an edifice for the worship of a deity. When we say edifice or edifice, we are talking about a structure that has a roof and walls and stands more or less permanently in one place. But this guy says the masjid is not a house. It's not a building. Do you remember that? I told you, correctional officer will fact check you.
who circumambulate, wal qaibina, and those who stand, wal rukka is sujud, and those who bow and those who prostrate. But the problem with these kind of people is they said they don't follow the hadith. They don't follow.
So now you see where he did the straw man. Then he went to the hadith.
because we say we don't believe the hadith, because he wants to use the hadith to substantiate his claims. Do you see the problem? Because in the Quran, he cannot substantiate his claim from the Quran. So now he has to use the hadith to back up his claim. So that is a straw man argument. Straw man. So if you wanted to do a rebuttal, what you need to do is you could have faced Baba Shuaib to prove to me from your hadith first where God says he gave you the hadith books to follow. Do you understand? Where God says you have the hadith to follow. Then now, Baba Shuaib's claim could be brushed off. But you use the hadith to now say you are refuting my argument. That doesn't make sense. Seriously. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the Quran, let me show you something. Like I told you, these people create their own meanings using the hadith books. That is why he, in the first place, when he said he was going to correct me, he quoted Sahih al-Bukhari, chapter 7252. Now, I'm going to take you to chapter 10. I'm going to show you something. Chapter 10, verse 87. Let me show you where people have this misconception again. In Quran chapter 10, verse 87, let's share the screen. Thank you very much, Liman Imran and Aganka. God says, Wa awhayna ila Musa wa akhihi an tabawwa'a li qawmikuma. Then he says, Bimisra. Buyuta waj'alu buyutakum kiblatan wa aqimus salat. Then he says, Wabashir al-mu'minin. Now listen. And we inspire to Moses and his brother that accommodates your people in the houses of Egypt. That is the Misra. And render your houses as Qibla, which is a destination, which is a direction. But it doesn't mean they should face Kaaba. So their houses have become the Qibla. Nowhere God asked Musa to face Jerusalem or to face, how do you call it? To face Kaaba or to face Masjid al-Haram. They should now render their houses as the destination. What is a destination? Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Let me show you the meaning of Qibla. Simple and easy. And you keep disturbing yourselves with certain things that God never gave you. So I'm going to show you something. Let's check the meaning of Qibla. According to the Quran, then you yourself will understand that is the place of worship that you establish your prayer. That's it. It doesn't mean you should face anything to pray. Nothing. So now I'm going to show you this. Qibla. Number one, Qibla is direction. A line leading to a place or point is Qibla. Number two, destination or goal. The place designated as the end, meaning of your journey or anything. Because your house, wherever you go, you come back to the house. Yes, that's your destination. That is your Qibla. And that is where you establish your salat. Where else are you going to establish salat? Where? In the ghetto? Whose ghetto? Your own house. That is where you establish the salat. That is your Qibla. Baba Shuaib, my house is my Qibla. That is where I establish my prayer. Where again? Now, the third meaning, target or aim, a reference point to aim at. That's it. When you go out, your aim is always your house because your objective is to come to your house. That is your Qibla. You come there and you come and do your prayer and go. That's it. Do you understand? So for Prophet Muhammad, instead of establishing his prayer at home, God now gave you a place you are going to use as your Qibla, your place of worship, your place of prayer. That is why he says, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. You take from the place of Ibrahim, a place of prayer. That is what Qibla is. A place you establish your place of worship. You do your worship. It doesn't mean I have to face there and pray. Oh, I'm in the masjid, so I'm facing where? What? Target, aim, focus, a fixed reference point on the concave side of a conic section. This is the literal meaning of the word Qibla. Qibla never means a direction of prayer unless based on the hadith. So the hadith influenced some dictionaries to make people think when we say Qibla, it means direction of prayer. Just like when you say Sunnah, they say the Sunnah of the Prophet. You say Hadith, they say Sahih Bukhari. You say Hikmah, they say Hadith books. What? Do you see how people's brain has been messed up? Okay, so what God was telling Musa alayhi salam, it's simply this. This is what God was telling Musa. And we are inspired to Moses and his brother that accommodate your people in the houses of Egypt and render your houses as a what? The Qibla is a place of worship because you are going to establish your salat there. It's your destination. That is your direction. What else do you need? No, what do you need? To face where? Are you praying to the building? No, you ask them. If I pray, I don't face the building, does it mean God is not going to answer my prayer? Why are people confusing themselves like this? God's Islam is simple. Quran chapter 22 verse 78. The funny part is you see the Sunnis, the Shias, they want to pray. They are in the location. They don't know. They will ask you, hey, brother, where is the Qibla? Out of your foolishness, where you are going to pray is your Qibla. But you are asking, bro, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm lying, tell me. You will see the Sunnis and the Shias. Normally, they will ask you. They will say, Akhi, where is the Qibla? Is it this direction? Or is it, can I face here? Who are you looking for in that direction? No, I'm serious. They'll be asking, Akhi, from here, where do I face? I face, is it north? So one day I asked somebody, are you telling me if you don't find that location, God is not going to answer your prayer? So what do you mean by that is your Qibla? This is what the Hadith books told them. Wallahi lazim, you will never find such nonsense in the Quran. Ladies and gentlemen, I just show you the difference between Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram. They are not the same. Masjid al-Haram is for God. Kaaba is for the people. I dare anybody watching to come and prove to me where God says Kaaba is for God. Kaaba is dedicated for the people, whilst Masjid al-Haram is dedicated to God. That is the house of God. So whoever will live in Kaaba and will stay in Kaaba will take care of the masjid. That is the idea. But you make the hadith turn it vice versa. So you rather leave the masjid and you are praying facing Kaaba. The house, I just showed you, people even enter with their shoes inside the house. I'm serious. This Kaaba, they go with their shoes inside. And you are fooling yourself, saying you are praying facing this house. For what? Let's go and see the straw man guy.
Of the Sahabis of the Prophet, that is the tafsir. But
he says the interpretation of the Sahabis of the Prophet, that is the tafsir. You see their foolishness again. Oh, seriously. Let's go. Let's help them out. Quran chapter 25 verse 33. When we say tafsir, where do we find tafsir? Let's help them because their foolishness is a knapsack for me. I'm getting tired of their foolishness. Quran chapter 25 verse 33. وَلَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ التَّفْسِيرَ. And they do not come to you with an instance, with an argument, with a case, with anything, example or anything. But we have brought you the truth and best in explanation. When we say tafsir, it means commentary or explanation. Quran on its own is the best in commentary. Quran on its own is the best in tafsir, explanation. You foolishly again says the tafsir of the Sahabas. Where did God say in the Quran? I have to follow the tafsirs of some unknown personalities. Let's continue with them again.
That every single verse that Allah revealed is followed by a reason.
He says, we all know that every verse God revealed is followed by a what? A reason. Where did God say that? Hello, you all know which verse. Where did God say Asbabul Nuzul? Where? When we say Asbabul Nuzul, it means the reasons why something has been revealed. This is what they get from the Hadith books.
You will never find this nonsense in the Quran where God says Asbabul Nuzul. As a matter of fact, God reveals chapters whenever he's revealing a surah. And I'm going to give you verses to explain to you how God revealed the chapters. If you want to see those verses, you go to chapter 47, verse 20, right? Chapter 47, verse 20. You write it down. I'm giving you the verses. You check it for yourself. Chapter 47, verse 20, God reveals a surah. Chapter 9, verse 86 reveals a surah. Chapter 9, verse 124 reveals a surah. Chapter 9, verse 127 reveals a surah. Chapter 24, verse 1, he reveals a surah. That is a chapter. When we say surah, chapter, it means a subdivision of a written work, usually numbered and titled. So that is why when you take the Quran, every chapter has a title and they have numbers. That is what surah means, chapter. Do you understand? It's just simple logic. God is giving you simple understanding. But you let the hadith dictate Islam for you. You see where the problem is? Asbabul Nuzul.
You say you don't follow the explanation of the Prophet, you don't follow the explanations of the Sahabis. When Allah said in the Quran,
He says we don't follow the explanation of the Prophet, we don't follow the explanation of the Sahabis. What? Where do we find this explanation? In the Quran? After God telling you the Quran is ahsan al-tafsira, best in what? Tafsir. So I should leave the best in tafsir to go and follow which book? The explanation of the Sahabis. I'm going to use you by your own words. We are going to see where did God say Prophet should explain the Quran.
in Surah Al-Masad, Quran chapter 111, Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tabi, ma aguna anhu maluhu wa ma kasabi, sayasla naran zata lahabi, wa mura'atuhu hammalatal hatabi, fi jidiha hablum min masad. The question today is, why did Allah case about...
Oh bro, don't do that. You haven't answered my question. Look at the straw man argument. Salam, Mohammed Mono. This guy hasn't answered my question. Now he is doing a straw man, going to quote chapter 111, Surah Al-Masad, and now he's going to ask me a question because he claimed, because I don't believe in the tafasirs of his sahabas or scholars or whatever. So now he did a straw man. He left the verse, the issue where I throw a challenge. Show me a verse where God says, pray facing Kaaba. You failed that one. You did a straw man to please your mushrik fans. And now asking me tabbat yada abi labi wa tabba. Anyways, we can help you out. I have a video on that. Let's show you the link. YouTube. This is the video. If you go to my YouTube channel, this is the video. You go to my YouTube channel, you look for what we call Abu Lahab or Abi Lahab, right? That is the video. So let me play it, then you hear the explanation, right? He asked a question. We are going to answer him. I don't do any straw man here. He thought I would go to the hadith books to give him answer.
I've heard his question. The caller is asking about Surah Al-Masad. He says Abilab. And according to the sectarians, they have the hadith books telling them that there's somebody called Abu Lahab or Abilab, right? So they have a narrative aspect, which is away from the Quran, telling them something which has nothing to do with the Quran in the first place. So when we say surah, a chapter is a subdivision work, usually numbered and titled. So the name of the chapter is called Masad, which means a fiber, right? Now, when you read the chapter, God says, Tabbat yada abihi lahab wa tabba. Now, underline the word lahab. Lahab. Underline it. Now, check the word abi. You hear the sectarian saying abu. There's a difference. Even though this scholar did well, he said abi. Now, let's use the abi. We are going to check something. Remember, the Quran is to serve as a clarification of all things by itself. Not somebody else, not something else. Quran chapter 16, verse 89. So the Quran, the Quran is in the book. It is to serve as a clarification of all things. Right? So now we are going to see that clarification. Underline the word lahabi, watabba. So God says the handwork of Abi Lahab has been destroyed and he will perish. Now we are going to find who is this Abi Lahab. Is it the entity they are claiming in their hadith books, Or is it an entity we can find in the Quran? Let's check. Verse 2. Ma agna anhu malu wa ma kasab. His wealth will neither avail him nor what he earned. Right? Then verse 3. Sayasla naran zata lahab. Now the word lahab has been repeated. In verse 1, there's the word lahabin. With kasrate. That same lahabin has been repeated in verse 3. Lahabin. In Arabic, this is a 3-letter word. Now, this lahabin, it means flame, or you can say flames. That is the word lahab. That's what it means. So yasla, this yasla means to be burned. So yasla naharan zatala. He will be burned in the fire, possessing what? Flames. So this flame. Now we will be coming to verse 1 to understand who it is. Then verse 4. Wamuratuhu hammalatat hatab. So, and his wife, when we say wamra, amrat is woman, somebody's wife is wamrat, amrat. So, and his wife will be the carrier of the firewood, right? Then verse 5. Fijidiha hablun min masad. So around her neck, or we can say in her neck or around her neck, hablun min masad, there is a rope of what? Fiber will be around the neck. So now the question arises, why will God dedicate a whole chapter to an entity, and the entity is nowhere to be mentioned in the Quran? So let's check the word abi. When we say abi, it means the father, or we can say in English, we can say the don. When we say you are a father of something, it means you are the head of all. When we say you are the father of the house, it means you are the head of the house, including your wife, everybody. Do you get the point? So when we say the father, the moment we mention the word Abi Lahab, we translate it literally as the father of what? Flames. So the word Lahabin is flame. Now, who is the father of the flame? Who will be the boss of the flame on the day of judgment? Quran chapter 7, verse 11 to 18. It tells you Iblis will be the one to lead the people to hell. Some people will say, is it talking about Iblis? We are going to check. Remember, Iblis has a kabila. He, the devil, he has a kabila. And kabila is called what? Clan. Clan is only related by blood. Marriage. Now, you, the jinn, you as the human being, you have a family. The jinn also has a family. They have descendants. According to Quran chapter 18, verse 50, the jinn has descendants as well, just like Adam also has descendants. Now, remember, God is saying beware of the devil because he is the worst enemy. He wants to lead you to hell. Now, the devil, according to this verse, he is the Abihilab God is defining to us. Somebody will say, how was he able to obtain ma'agna anu ma'lu wa ma'kasab? How was he able to attain wealth? Quran chapter 17, verse 64. According to God, God is telling the devil, وَشَارِكُهُمْ fil amwal. The devil can have money as well. He also has money. And the devil has women. He has horses. He has everything, just like you are thinking. Because remember, the jinn and the human beings were created to serve God. They know what is called pleasure. They also procreate. They also have descendants, just like you human being having descendants. So when you check the context of the verse, the word Abihilab here, the father of flame, throughout the context is only attributed to Iblis and his wife, not to an entity outside the Quran. Number one, he, Iblis, is the top notch of disbelievers for God to dedicate an entire chapter to him, instead of going to dedicate to an Arabian who is not even near to the epitome of what Pharaoh did. And then you claim he is the one mentioned in this chapter. No, I beg your pardon. That is not Abu Lahab, according to the Hadith books. This is talking about Iblis himself, the punishment he will have on the day of judgment. Thank you.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the answer to the guy. He was thinking we are going to go to the Hadith books to give you. Right? We will not do that. We are not going to go to the Hadith books to give you an answer. So let's listen to your challenge.
His wife in this chapter of the Quran. Did they do something wrong before Allah cursed them, or they were just sitting down and all of a sudden Allah revealed a revelation cursing them? No, they did something. What did they do? Unless you ask the Prophet. That is why Allah.
So unless you ask the Prophet, he goes to the Hadith book. So according to him, Sahih al-Bukhari 4971
Sahih al-Bukhari 4972 gives them the answers why Abu Lahab or whatever they are calling that is the reason. So they say if you go to the prophet, so Sahih Bukhari is your prophet. Seriously. What? Sahih Bukhari is your prophet? You say unless we go to the prophet. So Sahih Bukhari automatically becomes your prophet. Hey, how do you see you?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Nahl, Quran chapter 16 verse 44, Bil bayyinati wa zubur. With the
This is what they do. Again, they misquote verses. They don't quote it in full. So listen to what he's going to do.
clear proofs and the books. Wa anzalna alayka zikr.
He says the clear proofs and the books, the Zubur, the scriptures, he says the books. God didn't say kutub, but he is putting books there, no problem.
And we send down to you the remembrance, litubayyina linnas, that you may make clear to mankind.
This is what the extreme Sunnis actually do. They quote chapter 16 verse 44, and I'm going to help you out. They misquote the verses and then they interpolate and lie.
What has been sent down to them, and that they may reflect. Allah clearly stated that He has sent down the Quran to Muhammad.
They say God says He sent down the Quran. Is that what God says? So that is why I keep quoting chapter 10 verse 82. God will enforce the truth with His words even if the criminals dislike it. These are the criminals. They leave the words of God aside and then they put their own words. So when God says, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ, they say that is the Quran. We are going to check. Because you don't want God to explain His own words. Always, He mentioned QIBLA, you use your own words. He mentioned Hadith, you use your own words. He mentioned Sunnah, you use your own words. He mentioned Hikmah, you use your own words. Out of your foolishness, you will not allow God to explain His own book to you. Again, let's teach him some lesson. So, ladies and gentlemen, he said, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ, it means the Quran. So let him finish the talking.
Muhammad, to make it clear for mankind.
So he says, God revealed the Quran to Muhammad. Listen carefully.
And that they may reflect. Allah clearly stated that He has sent down the Quran to.
Does he understand English? He says, Allah clearly stated. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, chapter 16 verse 44. Open it on your side. Check the Arabic. Did God clearly mention the word Quran in that verse? Did God mention the word Quran in chapter 16 verse 44? Ladies and gentlemen, be honest. And I'm going to help you out so that you know the difference between what we call the Zikra and the Al-Quran. Be specific with the words of God. Out of your foolishness, don't think you are smarter than God. Let God explain His own book. Now, let's go to Quran chapter 16. It has a context. It starts from verse 43. What the mushriks always do is they leave the verse 43 and then they will use verse 44. And verse 44, they take it out of context. So we are going to see, according to the Sunnis, the Quran is not clear. It is the prophet who has to make it clear. And thank God, God never used the word Quran in that verse. Let's go. So God says in that verse, let me share the screen, and then we catch the bira trapachi bila. So God says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ كَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ فَاسْأَلُوا آلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And we did not send before you, Muhammad, except men to whom we inspired. So ask the people of the remembrance if you do not know, you people, if you do not know. Then verse 44, Bil bayyinati was zubur, with the proofs, that is the evidences and the scriptures. Then he says, Wa anzalna ilayka zikra. Why don't you, out of your foolishness, why don't you use your common sense to now ask God, God, where is the azikra? We want to know. We don't know. Ma ilma lana illa ma allamtana. We don't have knowledge except what you teach us. Wattaqullah wa yu'allimukumullah. Chapter 2, verse 282. Have the fear of God. Reference God and God will teach you. But foolish mushriks will never let God explain the verses for them. They want to act like Bosu. They know the verses more than God. So we are going to explain by force with our hadith books. Yes, when he says zikra, it means the Quran by force, whether you like it or not. No, akhi, it doesn't mean the Quran. And I'm going to help you out. وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. Now, underline this word zikra. I'll tell you where we find the zikra. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. You make it known. You make it known. You clarify. No problem. But is it the Quran? We are going to check. Linnas, talking to the people, because prophets and messengers already came before Muhammad. So people already were aware of God. That's why God says he inspired people and he sent them to the people. Right? Okay. Then he says, litubayyila linnas ma nuzila. When we say nuzila, in Arabic, for those who know the Nahu, nuzila here is past tense. We call it fi'l mahdi. Mahdi is a past tense. Ma nuzila ilayhim. God will have said, ma nuzila ilayka. God will have simply said, wa anzalna ilayka al-Quran litubayyila linnas ma nuzila ilayka. Simple. This is simple logic. You are not smarter than God. But God said what? وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. He didn't say Quran. This guy says God clearly said Quran. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Okay. Where do we find the Zikra? Then we go to Quran chapter 38, verse 1. In Quran chapter 38, verse 1, God says, Swad wal Quran zi zikr. Swad, by the Quran containing the remembrance, by the Quran possessing the remembrance, by the Quran which has the remembrance. Are you smarter than God? I told you I'll fact check you. Do you know why your scholars are not coming to face me, Prince Mushrik? You don't know, huh? I'm called correctional officer for a reason. I love it when you mushriks tag me as arrogant. I love that. Keep tagging me as arrogant. I love it. Ibrahim was tagged the same thing. Suleiman was tagged the same thing. You mentioned Musa alayhi salam was tagged the same thing, because mushriks, when the truth goes against you, the best you can do is to tag somebody as arrogant. No problem. Keep tagging me. By the Quran containing the remembrance, possessing the remembrance, which has the remembrance. I give an example. Somebody will say, oh, but it is the same thing. It is not. Just like the KAABA and the Masjid al-Haram are not the same thing. Don't fool yourself. Let God explain his own book for you. I'm serious. Okay. Now, for those who don't understand this, they will say what? But the Quran is the zikr. وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. Or they will say, إِنَّ نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّ لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Quran chapter 15 verse 9. So people will quote that and they say, oh, it means the Quran. Is that what God says? So why don't you let God tell you what the zikr is? Now, if you go to Quran chapter 85, I'm going to help you to understand something. Quran chapter 85 verse 1. It says, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ. This word zat, the word zat, is a plural form of the word z. So when God says, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ, the heaven, it contains the buruj, the constellation. Now, can I say the heaven is the constellation? Can I say that? Is it allowed to say that? No. Can I say the constellation is the heaven? Is it allowed? If you are in your right senses, is it allowed to say that? Can I say constellation is the heaven? It's not allowed, right? Can I say the heaven is the constellation, the buruj? Is it allowed? No. I'm serious. No. You are a fool to say it is allowed. Because who is a fool? Someone who lacks good judgment. You don't want God to teach you. You want to teach yourself by force? Right? Okay. So now I take you back to Quran chapter 38, verse 1, so that you understand how God is separating this notion. Use your akal. In the Quran, al-kitab has a different connotation to the word al-Quran. Sometimes you can interchange it, but they are not the same. There is a difference. The Quran still has to teach you that, because Quran does the tafsil of the al-kitab. Quran chapter 10, verse 37. The Quran, God says, وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ أَنْ يُفْتَرَى مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنْ تَصْدِيقَ الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ وَتَفْصِيلَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ مِنْ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. So this Quran is not that which it can be invented by other than God. However, it is a confirmation of what was before it and an elaboration of the Al-Kitab. So Quran does the tafsil, elaboration of the book. Do you see here? Now, so when God says Swad wal Quran zi zikr, the Quran contains the remembrance. Can I say the Quran is the remembrance? No, I can't. I don't have the permission to do that. I'm serious. I dare anybody watching, come and give me a verse where it says the Quran is the remembrance. I dare anybody. Yes, let this video trend again. Let it trend. I dare anybody. After this, I will hop on TikTok. Come and show me one verse where God says the Quran is the zikr. I dare anybody. Wallahi, if you can prove that verse to me, I'll stop being online. Wallahi, it doesn't exist. Somebody will say, what are you trying to say? I'll help you. Let God explain his verses for you. So we cannot say the Quran is the remembrance. We cannot say the remembrance is the Quran. There's a difference. But yes, the zikr is the kitab. So there's a difference. The zikra, we can say, is the kitab. It's proven in Quran chapter 41, verse 41. Yes. The kitab, you can call it zikra. Yes. But the Quran is not the zikra. The Quran contains the zikra. So chapter 38, verse 1 is giving you the clue. But because you don't want God to explain, you've been taking the understanding from the hadithiyuns, the mushriks. You think you are making sense. You say that is the tafsir, that is the one explaining the book. I'm going to help you out. When I have a wallet and I have money inside, can I say my wallet is is the money? Is it allowed? Ladies and gentlemen, help me out. Is it allowed for me to say my wallet is the money? Now, is it allowed to say my money is the wallet? No, it's not allowed. I'm serious. It's not allowed to say your wallet is the money and the money is the. However, your money contains, your wallet contains the money. Do you see it? Your money is inside the wallet. So the wallet contains your money. It is not the money rather containing the wallet. So if you say zikra is the Quran, you are confused. And I'm going to help you out. Quran chapter 54, verse 17. God says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلْذِكْرِ فَهَلْ مِنْ مُدَّكِّرٍ. And we have certainly made the Quran easy for the remembrance. So the Quran is on its own. Then the az-zikra, you still find it, just like we find the al-hikmah inside the verses of God. Do you get my point? Now, this is what happens when you allow God to explain his own verses. Because God is the one explaining. It's not you. Out of your foolishness, you let these people tell you hadith books explain the Quran. Where? For where? Not in front of correctional officer. I'm serious. I dare you. God gave me the knowledge and the wisdom for a reason. I dare you. You, out of your foolishness, you will not let God teach you. You use your garbage books to say you are explaining this honorable book. Quran al-Karim, Quran al-Azim, Quran al-Aziz, Quran al-Majid. You use your garbage book, your toilet book to explain this book. Are you nuts? So the Quran, God says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ lil zikr. You understand? The Quran is the one God has made easy for the remembrance. So that now you can now get the remembrance.
If God hasn't made the Quran easy, you cannot get the zikr. So when God told the Prophet, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, the zikr is a different thing altogether from the Quran. So that is why Quran chapter 50 verse 45, God says, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مَنْ يَخَافُ وَحِيدٍ. So it is out of the Quran you get the zikr. Out of the Quran you get the zikr. Do you understand me? Okay. Now, the guy is throwing over the bar shots at the correctional officer because he's not learned enough. So let's listen to what he's saying.
Make it clear for mankind.
So now he's claiming God told Muhammad to make the Quran clear. You see the foolishness. After God already making his book, God says the Quran is clear. Quran chapter 15 verse 1. Let's help him again. These people are so foolish and dumb. I don't know why. Chapter 15 verse 1. Listen to what God says. God says, Alif Lam Ra Tilka Ayatul Kitab wa Quran al Mubin. Alif Lam Ra. These are signs of the Al-Kitab and a clear Quran. The Quran is clear. Don't fool yourself again. Don't ever, especially you call correctional officer and sit me down. I will embarrass you. Poto, poto, poto. The Quran is clear. That's why we call it Quran in Mubin. Yes. But your foolish books are telling you the Quran is not clear. The Prophet is going to make it clear because God is, according to you, you are saying God is dumb. He cannot explain his own book. So, after God telling the Prophet to keep quiet, Quran chapter 75, verse 16 to 19, listen carefully. God says, La tuharrik bihi lisanaka lita'ajala bihi. Inna alayna jama'ahu wa qur'anahu. فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. So God says, do not move your tongue, you the Prophet, with it in order to hasten with it. Indeed, upon us is the jumla, that is the gathering of it, jama'ahu, to gather it, right? To gather everything, compilation. That is the word jama'ahu, to compile something, to gather something. It's based on God. It's not you, the Sahabas. Don't fool yourself. Lying to us and the Sahaba compiled what? What kind of foolishness is this? Upon us, it is collection, the compilation, the gathering, and its reading. The way the Quran should be read by chapters is based on God. It's not based on your foolish books. And again, so when we read it, then follow its reading. Your job is just to follow the Quran. Just listen what it's saying. Don't fool yourselves. Then God says, Thumma inna alayna bayanahum. Then indeed upon us is its clarification, not upon you, Muhammad, not upon anybody. Upon us, which is God, is the clarification of the Quran. So now, ladies and gentlemen, where are these mushriks getting the idea that Muhammad is the one to explain the Quran? Where? Which verse? So that is why all these mushriks, the Sunnis, have been quoting chapter 16 verse 44, chapter 16 verse 44, chapter 16 verse 40. وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Mushriks, wallahi, not in front of the correctional officer. No wonder. You can only insult me, but not in my front. You don't dare even call me. My phone number is there. I dare any mushrik. Allah, you don't know. You don't know how much God has soaked me up and prepared me for this assignment, for the past 14 years. Let's go.
And the reason behind every single surah of the Quran.
Is that what God says? Explanation, and reasons behind every surah of the Quran is found where?
In the hadith.
In the tafsir and the hadith. Okay, we are going to ask you, which of the tafsir? Tafsir of Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Taymiyyah, the Ibn who? The tafsir of who are we going to find?
And which hadith? Imam Bukhari or Imam Muslim or which one? Jamia Tirmidhi? Wallahi, these people are not okay. This is why Quran chapter 25 verse 44 says, do you think that most of them listen or reason? God says they are just like livestock. Now, do you see why Baba Shoaib calls them foolish people? It's justified, right? وَمَنْ يَرْغَبُ عَنْ مِلَّةِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِلَّا مَنْ سَفِهَ نَفْسَهُ. Quran chapter 2 verse 130. And who will desire other than the creed of Abraham, if not one who fools himself? And that is the word when I use the mushriks are trembling. Hey, he's calling us fools. Yes, you are fools.
Follow the explanation of the prophet, then where will you get this clear?
You never prove to us where he says the explanation of the prophet, that he should explain the Quran. I dare any mushrik watching me, call my phone number right now and show me where it says explain the Quran, the word Quran. That it said the prophet explained the Quran to them.
Mohammed, to make it clear for you. Allah said in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, Quran chapter 62 verse 2, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ. He is the one who sent among the unlettered a messenger from themselves, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ, reciting them his verses, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and purifying them, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and teaching them the book and the wisdom, وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. And surely they were from before in clear error. Allah clearly states again in this ayah that the prophet is teaching them the book, that is the Quran. And
you see what they do? They interpolate their own words. When God says, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So when God mentions the Al-Kitab, these people automatically just go to the Quran and say, oh, which is the Quran? Now I ask you, did God say, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْقُرْآنِ? Is that Quran God says there? Is that what God says? Huh? Is that what God said? That he should teach them the Quran? Ladies and gentlemen, you see how they do the straw manning? If God says blue, then they'll say black. So this is why they keep doing the same thing. When God says obey God and obey the messenger, these people will say obey God and obey the prophet. Yet if you ask them, is there a single verse in the Quran where God says obey God and obey the prophet? Then they are looking at you. Akhi, but the prophet is the messenger. So you are smarter than God, right? Right. So if God says blue, you say black. Quran chapter 9 verse 119. What did God say? Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ittaqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqin. He says, oh, you who believe, beware of God and be with those who are truthful, who are honest. These people, they are not honest. Now, when we say wijhatu is, let me let this guy end. He's almost done.
Wisdom. So the question today is, where is the wisdom of the prophet when you are denying the hadith?
Where is the wisdom of the prophet? Which wisdom of the prophet? Did the Quran says the wisdom of the prophet? No, seriously, is that what the Quran says? Wisdom of the prophet? You didn't hear what this question this guy is asking? Where is the wisdom of the prophet? When I deny the hadith, you are calling this hadith, which you claim the prophet married the 6 years ago. You are calling this the wisdom of the prophet? Hey, let's give them a crowd too. Who born this guy by mistake? Wisdom of the prophet is your hadith books. Where is the wisdom of the prophet? You should have just asked simple, where is the wisdom? Quran chapter 17 verse 39. Let me help you. Quran chapter 17 verse 39. If you want to know where the hikmah is found, it's found in the Quran. If you start from chapter 17 verse 22, start reading downwards up to verse 39. Then it says, ذَلِكَ مِمَّا أَوْحَى إِلَيْكَ رَبُّكَ مِنَ الْحِكْمَةِ وَلَا تَجْعَلْ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ فَتُلْقَى فِي جَهَنَّمَ مَلُومًا مَدْهُورًا. That is from what your Lord has inspired to you of the Al-Hikmah. So Al-Hikmah is found in the verses of the book, the Quran. You find the Al-Hikmah there. So just because God says Al-Kitab and he says Al-Hikmah, the mushriks, they think they are two books given to the prophet. So they will quote the hadith. They say the prophet was given the Quran and something similar. So what is that similar hadith? They will say the hadith. The hadith, the sunnah is a similar to the Quran. Hey, like seriously. So no wonder these people cannot sit me down face to face. Correctional officer, look, after this, I'm going to be on TikTok. I dare you. You call, let's come and prove your logic. I will measure your logic on the scale. Hey, let's continue with this mushrik.
Interpretation behind those verses. Someone may come with something else by saying that if the Quran is complete, why the tafsir or the hadith? It is the same thing that I can ask you. If you knows how to write or if you knows how to talk, why are you going to court with the lawyer?
Is this guy a dummy? Does he think everybody goes to court who uses a lawyer? Wallahi, this guy is a dummy. Prince Mushrik, are you okay? Oh yeah, sorry, he's a teenager. Did you hear what he said? He says, if you know how to write and you know how to talk, why do you need a lawyer? Who told you everybody needs a lawyer? Why? Oh my God. Was he born by, who born this guy by mistake? What? Let me repeat that part. What was he saying?
To these kind of people, because saying that if the Quran is complete, why the tafsir or the hadith? It is the same thing that I can ask you. If you knows how to write or if you knows how to talk, why are you going to court with the lawyer?
No, who told this guy that everybody needs a lawyer in the courtroom? Hey, so that is your justification for following hadith books. So the hadith is the lawyer of the Quran. And this is what the Sunnis are rejoicing, that this guy gave me a reply with these strawman fallacies. This guy, Prince Mushrik, oh come on, find somebody better. So the hadith is the lawyer of the Quran. Oh my God. Oh, no, I'm disappointed in these Sunnis. So all this while you were looking for somebody to refute my argument. Baba Shoaib's phone number is there. +358 466 803144. All you do is call Baba Shoaib. Let's arrange a dialogue face to face. Simple. Don't do these straw man arguments, fallacies. Because only mushriks will cheer you up. Hey, yeah, they answered him. Hey, the guy refuted his argument. With what? With which verses? What is this boy saying? Seriously. Oh my God.
Those who are listening to these kind of people, be careful. I came in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
So this is where they start giving the fatwa against you. They always give fatwa against us, the one who follow the Quran. They say those who are listening to us, you should be careful. So we are the ones telling you to come and worship the Kaaba. We are the ones telling you to go and to break your fast at sunset. We are the ones telling you to stone people to death. We are the ones who tell you to kill people when they change their religion. Really? So you should be careful with us. Hey. I should rather be sitting here and tell people to be careful of you guys. Because whatever I just said is what you do. When God says break your fast at night, you break it at Maghrib. Seriously? Now listen. He says, my challenge goes back to you and all those who believe not in the hadith and the tafsir. Why did Allah reveal the last 3 chapters of the Quran? It's simple. God revealed the Quran in its entirety as guidance for mankind. If you are talking about the last 3 chapters of the Quran, Surah Ikhlas, Surah Nas, Surah Falak, everybody with intellect can read and see Surah Ikhlas is telling you about the oneness of God, the Tawheed. Surah Nas is telling you to seek refuge with God. Surah Falak is telling you to seek refuge with God. Is this supposed to be a difficult thing to answer? So he thought he is asking me a difficult question. Why did God reveal the last 3 chapters of the Quran? He says, note, don't forget to provide your proof if you are truthful. My proof is the Quran. I have nothing else to give you. I'm not the one who do the straw man arguments. And then, ladies and gentlemen, when we say which hatu, let me show you something. Because I've not finished explaining something, right? Now, what people don't understand is, when we say masjid, like I told you, is the ismul makan. When we say ismul makan, is the noun of a place. So it's a fixed place, masjid, right? So Masjid al-Haram, like I told you, is different from the Kaaba. They are not the same. Even though they are in the same space, not the same. There is no single verse in the Quran where God asks you to pray facing the Kaaba. It doesn't exist, to be honest. Wallahi, it doesn't exist. There's no single verse where God also asks you to pray facing Masjid al-Haram. It doesn't exist. The word QIBLA is just a destination where you go, your place of worship, your place of establishing prayer. That is what Masjid, the QIBLA, is for. So that is why God told Musa alayhi salam, Quran chapter 10 verse 87, render your houses as the QIBLA, the place of your prayer. That is your destination. That is your direction. Because that is where you come for your guidance, to take your guidance from. What else are you going to do? What? What do you want to do? To pray facing the house for what? The Quran is here to bring you the truth. So whatever misconceptions have been done in the past, the Quran is here to fix it. Yes. Forget about people telling you, oh, we pray facing Jerusalem. We pray. That is why the hadiths are the ones influencing you guys. It copies everything from the Bible, Old Testament. That is what the hadith does. I'm serious. From circumcision, from facing the Jerusalem, whatever hadith, they get it from the Bible. They are written by the enemies of God and his prophet. Wallahi lazim. Now, somebody says, what is the meaning of Bayt al-Muqaddas? When we say Bayt al-Muqaddas, we are talking about the holy house, right? The mushriks, they invent all these things around. Yeah. God never called the Masjid al-Haram as Bayt al-Muqaddas. He doesn't say anywhere in the Quran where he says this house is Bayt al-Muqaddas. God never said that. There's a difference between, there's a level of difference between the word haram and the word kudus. There's a difference. How to utilize those words, right? Now, when something is sacred, it is something we the people dedicated to God. But when something is holy, it has been holy since day one. Do you understand the difference? When we say something is kudus or muqaddas, it means since the time it existed, it's been holy. But when we say something is haram or haraman or sacred, that is sacred. That type of sacredness, it is something we the people establish it and dedicate it to God. Just like the sacred months, we dedicate to God. Masjid al-Haram, you understand? Those things to God, to God, to God. That is what the haram stands for. But when we say Qudus or Muqaddas, from day one, it is God himself who made it holy. There is a difference. Understand that. So now, to bring this topic to an end, let me show you something that people don't understand. When we say wijhatu, in Quran chapter 2, verse 148. Chapter 2, verse 148. And I share the screen before I bring this topic to an end because it's 3 hours already. So I don't need to take too much time, right? So God says, وَلِكُلٍّ وِجْهَةٌ هُوَ مُوَلِّيهَا. So it says, and to each is a direction, a destination, which it should tend to. So compete in good deeds wherever you may be. Now, when God says, "For walli wajhaka ila shatar al-masjid," people think wherever you are walking like this, and you are watching direction of Masjid al-Haram. That's what it means. when you take the Quran, there is a literal understanding of a verse and there is the non-literal understanding of a verse. Put that in your mind. We have a literal understanding of a verse and there is a non-literal understanding of a verse. The main purpose of the QIBLA given to Prophet Muhammad, when God says, and to each is a destination or a direction which it should tend to. So compete in good deeds wherever you may be. Wherever you may be. You already have your QIBLA. But I'm going to show you why when the Prophet was alive and the believers around him, that verse was for them, not for you and I right now. Listen carefully. Quran chapter 2, verse 142. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها. Then he says, قل لله مشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. The foolish among the people will say, what has turned them away from their place of worship? It is not the direction of prayer, but rather the place, the destination of worship, at which they were. Say, the messenger was asked to answer, to God belongs the east and the west. He guides whomever he wills to a straight path. Now, listen. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ ummatan wasatan. Now, this ja'alnakum is talking to the prophet and the believer, the messenger and the believers with him. So God made them a central ummah. Litakunu shuhada ala nas, in order for them to serve as witnesses over the people. Wa yakuna rasul alaykum shahida. Then the messenger will serve as a witness against them, because the messenger have not witnessed me. What Baba Shuaib, me. He cannot witness what I did. He's not here. In this context, the messenger mentioned there is Muhammad at his time concerning he and the believers. So there will be witnesses over the people, and the prophet or the messenger is a witness over them. Then God says, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الْقِبْلَةَ الَّتِي كُنْتَ عَلَيْهَا. Now this is where the problem is. A lot of people think in the Quran when we say kunta, because they get influenced by the understanding from outside and the hadith books, they think whenever it says kunta, always it means past tense. I'm going to give you the example so that you understand this. First of all, we go to Quran chapter 4, verse 102. And I'm going to show you something that it's not anytime it says kunta, it means past tense. People should let God explain his own book. That is the problem I have with people. They want to explain the words of God by themselves, by force. So when we say kunta, chapter 4, verse 102, let me put it on the screen. God was talking to the prophet in this verse. He says, وَإِذَا كُنْتَ فِيهِمْ فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةِ. Now this verse, when the prophet was alive, this is a present and it can be used for the future as well. It's a present continuous. So whenever the prophet is among them, he has to establish. So God says, when you are among them, you the prophet. He didn't say when you were among them, establish the salat for them. This same word kunta is used. وَإِذَا كُنْتَ فِيهِمْ فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةِ. It can be used for present, it can be used for the future. In this verse, it doesn't fit in the past tense based on the context of the verse. Right? And the next example. Then the next one is Quran chapter 20, verse 35. In Quran chapter 20, verse 35, God is taking, they were making a supplication. That was Musa. Musa was making a supplication. And this is what he says. He says, Innaka kunta bina, innaka kunta bina basira. So he says, indeed, you are cognizant of us. Musa was talking to God, and he says, indeed, you, God, you are cognizant of us. It doesn't mean you were cognizant of us. No. God is always, is present, continuous, going on. So the word kunta, like I told you, the Quran is the furqan we have, is the criterion. Don't let external sources influence your understanding of the Quran. You have to unlearn the things you've been taught and relearn the Quran. Forget about what the other Arabs or from the other books externally are telling you. The Quran belongs to God. It doesn't belong to anybody. Okay. Indeed, you are cognizant of us. Innaka kunta bina basira. So kunta can be used for present tense. Again, another example. We go to Quran chapter 38 verse 75. In Quran chapter 38 verse 75, he says, Qala, Ya Iblisu, ma manaka an tashjuda lima khalaqtu biyadayya. Then he says, Astakbarta am kunta min al-alin. He says, God said, Oh, Iblis, what prevented you from prostrating to what I created with my hands? Are you, listen, are you arrogant or are you of the haughty ones, meaning people who show themselves? So here, this kunta used here is a present questioning. God was questioning him. God was not saying in this context, were you of the arrogant ones? No. Are you of the arrogant, or are you just arrogant? Are you arrogant? He didn't say, were you arrogant? Or no. Are you arrogant? Because he's still arrogant. He never did it. So it's a present. But the influence of the hadith followers, they will always tell you kunta is past tense because they don't study the book of God and they don't allow God to establish the truth with his own words. So now let's go back. Quran chapter 2 verse 143. So God says, and thus have we made you a central nation so that you may be witnesses over the people, you the believers, at the time of the prophet. And the messenger will be a witness over you the believers at the time of the prophet. And we did not assign, listen carefully, and we did not assign the place of worship, that is the QIBLA, the destination you are, the destination at which you are. But the sectarians, because they want to get the reason to justify that there was a QIBLA in the past, what they will do is they will say, no, you were. Because they are agreeing with the foolish people in Quran chapter 2, verse 142, up there. When you check the context, they are trying to agree with the foolish ones that they were, it was already assigned. Remember, this is how the Quran works. I give an example. When the Quran sometimes use the word al-an to show you something, it doesn't mean it is happening the same day or something. Sometimes God can tell you something he already decided below a verse, but he's already decided it. Just like in this context, I'm going to show you the reason why the QIBLA was assigned to Prophet Muhammad, the messenger. So in this verse, at which you are, except that we may find out who will follow the messenger from one who will turn back on his heels. And it is not important except for those whom God has guided. And God is not to waste your faith. Indeed, God is to the people kind and merciful. Then, when you go to 144, people just automatically assume, oh, that means he didn't have the QIBLA before. So now the QIBLA before was different. So now God is going to give him a new one. God didn't say Al-An. He just said, we have seen your face turning around toward the sky. So God is explaining how he assigned that QIBLA to him. It wasn't as if God gave him a previous QIBLA that he is following, that he's praying to. And there's nothing about prayer in the verse. And I'm going to show you. We have seen your face turning around toward the sky. So we have what? Entrusted to you a QIBLA with which you will be pleased. So turn your face. Now remember, we are not talking in a literal sense. It's talking to the prophet in this verse. Wajhaka. Because he is going to be assigned that place. He is the messenger. He is the witness over the people, and his people are the witnesses over the other people. Do you understand? So now, turn your face towards the Masjid al-Haram. Did God say turn your face in Salat? Because Qibla literally means destination, direction, focus, target. It doesn't mean the direction of prayer unless you add the hadith books. I'm serious. And this is where the problem starts, when people follow the hadith to give them explanations. And wherever you may be, then now he started talking to the believers. Wherever you may be, that's turn your faces, because God wants to see who will follow the messenger and who will not follow the messenger. So the Masjid al-Haram is the place God now assigned to the believers. That's why he started talking to the messenger first before talking to the believers. He has assigned the place. That's why they are there. And he's telling them to take from the place of Abraham. So that is your destination. That is wherever you are, that's where you go. It doesn't mean when you are walking, you have to be facing that place like this. Wherever you are, turn your face to the Masjid al-Haram. So you are doing this. No, Quran is not talking to fools. It's talking to people who possess some, iota of intelligence. And then you say, oh, so I have to pray. Qibla means direction of prayer. According to which verse? Where does it mean direction of prayer? What? You pray to God. You are not praying to the house. The house is for you as a resort. And wherever you may be, that's turn your faces. This is about the purpose, your aim, your intent. You know where your destination is. So wherever you may be, that is your base. That is where you're going. That is why he assigned that to the prophet. And he assigned that to the believers with him. Because that is their destination. That is where they have to go. That is why God told Musa to accommodate their people in the houses of Egypt and render it as their Qibla. Because it's their destination. When you go outside, when you are going anywhere, don't you go back to your house as your destination? Where are you going? That is your direction. So when you say turn your faces, we are not saying literally, God is saying literally turn your faces and face here and pray. He never said prayer in the verse. So who put prayer there? This is why, Baba Shuaib, I say allow God to explain his book to us. Don't let that foolish mushriks confuse you. Akhi, we cannot understand the Quran except by the hadith. So when we say wijhatu, it is a direction, which is a destination. You purpose it in your head. It's an aim where you have as your destination. So the believers with the prophet at that time, that is their destination. That is their direction. Not you right now. You the ones watching me now. Not you. Seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, I've done 3 hours and over. I think it's enough. I need to get some rest. You understand? So my time is up. 3 hours 70 is too much. So let me leave it as it is. I'll be cutting some of the parts of the video down to throw it back to the guy. He has failed the argument. He didn't meet the criteria at all. He did a straw man fallacy. Right? So tell his scholars to train him well and come back, because he didn't do well at all. That's not what you do to the correctional officer. Right? So this is Baba Shuaib, the correctional officer. This is the breakdown for the Qibla. In the Quran, nowhere did God say KAABA is the Qibla. It doesn't exist. Listen carefully. Nowhere did God say KAABA is the Qibla. I dare anybody watching, come and prove to me where God says KAABA is the Qibla. And come and prove to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I leave the case here. If you want to join me for a discussion, I'll be on TikTok for a bit before I go, because I have to end soon, because at 4, before 5, my sahur time ends. So I have to be on TikTok for maybe 1 hour, then it's enough. I cannot be for long. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. If you want to understand this program carefully, rewatch the program,
Take your time and assess it very well. And then listen to the evidences I'm giving. I'm allowing God to enforce the truth with his words. I'm not allowing anybody, not even myself, to influence the verses. So let the verses speak. This is what I stand for. Don't put your own ideologies in the words of God. You understand? So don't let anybody confuse you that Qibla is the direction of prayer. Just ask them according to who or according to which book. This is where you catch their lies. It is according to the hadith, which Qibla is facing Kaaba, not according to the Quran. Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram, they are not the same, unless if you are fooling yourself. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will have given the chance for callers to call in, but unfortunately, because I stopped here and there and played some videos, it took much of my time. So what I can do is we will give the chance on TikTok rather. So if you have a TikTok account, kindly join me. 3 hours, 20 minutes is too much, so I'll try to trim the video a bit down. But anticipate, I'm going to throw shots at the mushriks a lot. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So this is where we bring it to an end till we meet again, inshallah. Peace out.